Yo, what's going on? Welcome to Cleave to Antiquity. Today, I got a wild episode for you today. We're going to be diving into the subject of Prelest. Very interesting topic. We're going to talk about the Noah guy's prophetic dreams. he was sent. He was sent on a mission from God. He got a mission. He said, "You're my special guy. I'm sending you on a mission." So we're gonna examine some of these videos, and we're also gonna address the obvious, right? Discerning between these experiences and the benefit of being in the Orthodox Church, having the doctrine of Prelest, and just kind of examining some of these claims here. So I think they're pretty interesting. I also want to take a look at the Joel Webbin video that he put out saying, I like Roman Catholics, but I can't be Catholic. But he said a lot of things that had some overlap with Orthodoxy. And I actually sent him an offer a little while ago to have a chat with me and Jay. He said he would be down back then. I tried to follow up on him, and it kind of went quiet for a bit. So I've re-offered the conversation with him. It could just be between me and him. We'll keep it casual or whatever, but we'll see what happens with that. So anyway, I wanna highlight this. So the Jesus and Whatnot kid, he's had a track record so far of being like, when you're like a young man and you exaggerate things, like sometimes kids will exaggerate things or they'll lie about stuff to seem more impressive than they actually are. That's kind of the way that this guy strikes me. Now, I remember the initial video where he put out this video that said, "Oh, I've got the Muslims chasing after me," or something. Let me see if I can find that real quick. So this was the Jesus and Whatnot thing. Jesus and Whatnot Muslim, I think. Or Islam. Let's see. Jesus and Whatnot Islam. Let's see if I can find that. Jesus and Whatnot Islam. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find that quick enough. But anyway, basically, he put out a video that said, "I've got Muslims after me. I've had the FBI come to my house and stuff." And I took it at face value. I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, it is what it is. I could see that. I get death threats from Protestants. I've gotten death threats from Muslims before. So I could see that actually happening. Oh, this is horrible. This just goes to speak about the state of Islamic apologetics. But then a lot of the things he started to say really didn't add up, and he started making stuff up and exaggerating things like this. Let me see. I think I saved this. But basically, he was making stuff up about his interactions with Jay. Somebody highlighted this. I think I saved the clip. Anyway, long story short, it became pretty apparent that this kid is just like a serial liar, that he lies over and over and over again, even about very small things. Like I posted this earlier today, and you can always tell it's this type of person when they'll lie about something very small and they do it repeatedly, and it's a pattern of behavior. Where was the initial post? It was this. Okay. So this was my initial post on Instagram here, and this was his response. So he says this. So I posted this. I said, "Jesus and Whatnot is now claiming he's receiving messages to share with his audience that have been revealed to him in dreams. Surely nothing can go wrong." And the way to spot a serial liar is they'll lie about very small things repeatedly. So his response was, "I did this video 5 months ago, and I clarified it's probably nothing." So this is the small lie about something that's very obvious, and you can fact check very simply. It won't show the photo on the desktop. But anyway, provided a screenshot. No, the video is only from like 2 months ago. And he's posted several videos talking about things that he's had revealed to him in dreams. And he always does the same excuse like Muhammad did. He's like, "Oh, well, it could be God, it could be not, it could be God, it could be not. So I'm a little timid about, but I'm going to reveal it anyway, and then we'll just like follow it and see where it goes." That's actually the same line of reasoning Muhammad used. I don't know if you know this. He was kind of like, it could be, it could not be, it could be, it could not be. Oh no, wait, this is confirmed. I'm gonna go ahead and we'll push forth, and now we're gonna start massacring people. Not saying that's what he's doing, but I'm just drawing a comparison between two different types of delusion. So anyway, you can spot these types of especially it's prevalent, especially with like teenagers. They do this quite a bit. It's like, oh yeah, my dad is like friends with the lead singer of Matchbox 20. It's like, and the guy like replied to like a comment on Facebook once or something. But anyway, so I started looking into it, and I was like, well, you know what? People are telling me after that post, they're like, he's lying to you. He's published tons of videos about his dreams and about these visions and stuff that he's received. This is a pretty regular thing for this guy. So I looked at a couple of them, and I want to review them today because I think they're a pretty good example of Prelest, the spiritual delusion. So I'm going to highlight what I have found so far. So, and stuff that people have sent to me as well. So this is one of them. This was the initial post. Jesusandwhatnot is claiming, this is Noah, is now claiming he's receiving messages to share with his audiences, or with his audience, that has been revealed to him in dreams. Surely nothing can go wrong. This should be a massive red flag to anyone when you're following a personality online and they're saying, look, I've had this message revealed to me in a dream. I just need to give you this. I need to give you this revelation that I just got. I don't know if it's from God or not, but I feel I had this dream and this message was revealed to me in a dream. I just got to give it to you. I got to tell you what this dream told me. So this was that should set off red flags in your mind. This should be pretty obvious, but I know some people don't have discernment. All right, check this out.
I had a dream last night about the people watching this video, and in that dream, I was told to deliver a message to you guys. Now, I'm not going to say that this was a dream from God, but on the off chance that it was, I figured I should probably make a video delivering said message. The dream included lots of imagery of storms, tornadoes, tents, just really violent weather, and people being taken away. There was a lot.
So he had a dream with storms, tornadoes, violent weather, and people being taken away. So this is the context of his dream. So he's getting this violent imagery. People are being dragged away. This is like your IFB grandpa is like saying, I had a dream of the I was raptured and you were left behind, little Timmy. You were sitting there on the bench. You got left behind because you just couldn't stop sagging your pants too low. I'm sorry, little Timmy. I had this dream. I had to reveal it to you. It was beamed directly into my skull, dude.
A lot of imagery that I'm not going to go into, but there was one overarching message that I was supposed to share to people who are considering Catholicism.
Okay, so his dream is a polemic for Roman Catholicism. So his dream is, hey, I'm going to give you like this like top tier apologetic argument. Goy beam directly into your brain. I've given you this top tier apologetic argument.
Some people who are Protestants or Orthodox who are considering the possibility of becoming Catholic. And again, let me clarify, take everything I'm about to say with a grain.
So no one can call him a false prophet. Take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt. Because this is like totally just a dream, dude. Please don't press me on this claim because it's just like a dream. So like if this like bad argument I thought up is I mean was revealed to me in this dream was not actually from God, you can't call me a false prophet. So just take it with a grain of salt.
I am not claiming that this was definitely from God, but I'm going to say what I was told to say on the off chance that it was from God. If you are a person considering Catholicism, read this guy's writings, specifically his work against the Donatists. I had a dream.
So the argument that is revealed to him in a dream is a Orthodox or Donatist's argument that he's trying to make in a tongue-in-cheek way, not realizing that the early church actually had many synods on this exact issue. Orthodox are not Donatists. This is just complete slop. It's just so stupid. Go read Carthage. Go read the Regional Council of Carthage that's ratified at Trullo. in which it says there are no valid baptisms outside of the church. However, each bishop has the proper right of judgment on how to receive converts. This is the way the church of the first millennium operated. Not everybody just apes every single bit of Augustine's theology like the Roman Catholics do. But anyway, I thought that was funny. So apologetic argument aside, this should set off red flags to anyone. Whoa, wait a minute. I should be skeptical of some of the stuff this kid's saying, because he's saying he's getting revelation in dreams and messages to give to his audience. This was revealed to me in a dream. Guys, I don't know. I went to sleep last night and I went to sleep last night. I had this vision in my dream. It was a whirlwind. And there was a guy he kind of looked like James Martin, and he was like getting exploded. Dude, it was crazy. It was crazy. And there were all these people, they were holding on to James Martin's ankles, and they were just being dragged down into a pit. I don't know what this means, but I got a message. And it was, you need to go read Ubi Petrus's article on why Roman Catholics are gay. I don't know if it's real or not. It seemed really real. It seems so real. It seems so freaking real, bro. It seems so real. Father Jimmy Martin, he literally was in my dream. He exploded, dude. It's nuts. So anyway, come to find out, it's not the first time this guy has said stuff like this. He does this pretty regularly, I guess. So I posted this as well. This was his initial one. So he's been doing the prophetic dream shtick for a while. This was like close to the start of his channel. God spoke to me. This one isn't even like this might be from God, this might not be. This is God spoke to me. And we're actually going to watch the full video, but I do want to show you a clip because I think it was pretty crazy. Some of the stuff he said in this video itself. Now, again, people are going to draw the comparison. They're going to be like, but Cleve, didn't you have an experience? Yeah, you don't hinge everything on something mystical happening, though. Can you not see where that would create a dilemma? Oh, well, my side, the Roman Catholic Church, this guy in the Roman Catholic Church, he has a dream. It tells him to go to the Roman Catholic Church. This other guy, he has an experience and it tells him to go Orthodox. Oh, what do? I need to have my own experience to determine which one I go to. No, dude, you don't prop up mystical experiences over the actual intellectual reasons that you're entering into the church, intellectual or otherwise. You get what I'm saying? You don't pay so much attention to these things that it becomes something that's like with this guy, he literally says in this video, he feels like he received a mission from God. This should set up massive red flags for you. Imagine if I said, I sniffed incense, therefore I knew. The moment I sniffed incense, that meant I was supposed to be the papacy destroyer. I was supposed to be, I'm literally his top guy, dude. I'm about to go out there and debunk freaking whoever else. Like, this is a mission that I received. It was beamed directly up through my nose and into my brain. And I knew from that moment on, dude, I'm his top guy, dude. I just got to go out there and take him out. I'm on a mission now. That should set off red flags, and literally no one should follow me if I'm saying stuff like that. Absolutely insane. By the way, Chad Instant Sniffer versus soy Roman Catholic dream believer. So true. W incense in the chat. Let's get some W's going. W incense in the chat. Anyway, I do want to highlight, I want to review this little clip here. Absolutely nuts, some of the stuff I found so far. So look at this.
And while I was sleeping, I had a dream. And the dream, I won't go into the details, was entirely in Latin. I saw all of these golden words flashing in front of my eyes, and there was a whole plot about, getting home to New Jerusalem.
I saw all of these golden words flashing before my eyes, a bunch of Latin golden words. And there was a narrative about coming home to the New Jerusalem. This is what is being revealed to him in this dream. So he sees a bunch of Latin words, gold everywhere, and there is a narrative about returning to the New Jerusalem.
And when I woke up in the morning, I translated the Latin words, which is a language I didn't speak, by the way.
And when he woke up, he somehow remembered every Latin word he saw in the dream and immediately went over to Grok and had Grok translate all the Latin into English. This is the claim. He received. It was beamed directly into his brain in a dream, a bunch of golden Latin words. He says he doesn't know Latin, yet somehow he remembers perfectly how to spell these Latin words and enter them into some AI to have them translated for him. This is the claim so far.
So I couldn't have made this up in my dream. But I translated the Latin words, and it was talking about the intercession of the saints, and it was talking about how it was good. So I called my friend, and I said,
yeah, I translated the Latin, and it said intercession of saints good. That's what it said. It said, yeah, dude, this is actually pretty dope. I like that a lot.
hey, I need to become Catholic immediately. Then I went to sleep, and while I was sleeping,
That's crazy. So he basically said, all right, I had this dream. And it was revealed to me in a dream that there was a bunch of Latin golden words floating in front of my face. There's gold everywhere. There's this narrative about returning to the New Jerusalem. And then when I wake up, I remember all these Latin things. I remember exactly how to spell them. I enter them into an AI. It translates them for me. And the translation is something like intercession of the saints is really nice and cool. What? Guys, you got to have some discernment.
I had a dream, and the dream.
Look, it's one thing to say you have an experience, but this is quite obviously a fabrication. You see young people like this, young guys like this, that they'll do stuff like I was saying earlier. They'll just make stuff up so often to impress their friends that it becomes like a habit. And one way to spot people like this is they'll lie about little details and they can't keep all the details straight. So notice what he's saying here. He's saying not only did he have this dream in which all of these words are floating in front of his face, but then he also wants us to believe that he woke up in the morning not knowing he didn't know any Latin. He concedes this in his video here, but not knowing any Latin, he remembered enough to write out full sentences in perfect Latin to have them translated. And it basically is just like a narrative that intercession of the saints is good. And this was the entire reason he became Roman Catholic. Okay. Now, I know people are going to be intellectually dishonest. They're going to be like, Cleve, didn't you just convert because of you sniffed incense? No, that's not the entire reason I converted. I did an entire 3-hour stream, maybe 2 hours, with Father Deacon Ananias with all of the intellectual reasons. I know the meme circulates around. No, there's a ton of intellectual reasons why I converted. It's not all hinging on a miracle claim. So anyway, I wanted to highlight this because I thought this would be a good way to kind of explore the topic of Prelest. Oh yeah, there's even more, by the way. If I convert to Judaism, would I be a translender? a translender? Good grief. By the way, y'all, smash the super chat goal, support the show, smash that like button, and subscribe if you haven't already. Mods, make sure to remind people in the chat. I appreciate y'all tuning in. So he does this again, by the way. So there's like a joint a joint like this whole thing, and she just keeps talking about dreams over and over and over again on his show. Yeah, why are there so many of these? Here's another one, or it's he looks like the that lawyer guy that was like crying in the meme with the edited hair. You know what I'm talking about? But in this one, he says a bunch of his friends had dreams. This was like a prophetic dream here, a prophetic set of dreams. He said a bunch of his friends had dreams that his friend Catholic Sam, that he makes the making out AI videos with. He said they all said Catholic Sam is going to die because they had dreams that Catholic Sam is going to die. So he frantically publishes a video and he says, I don't know if this is real or not, but multiple people said they had a dream. Catholic Sam is going to die. Everybody pray right now. 55,000 people. You guys are so gullible. 55,000 of you. Maybe not, probably not my audience. 55,000 Roman Catholics like this. And they're like, oh, we have to save Catholic Sam. The prophecy can't come true. The prophecy.
Somebody just had a dream that Catholic Sam was going to be unalived in the near future. Here is a message that they sent to Sam. Now, Sam and I were both a little bit shocked by this.
I stopped taking him seriously when he randomly said Mary appeared to him, and he said, those who know me know I wouldn't make it up. It seemed like bragging and an This is what I'm talking about, dude. The kid's like 19 years old, and he claims to be getting visited by like he's getting visits from Jesus. He's getting visits from Mary. He's getting visits from like every saint. This kid is, he must be like the most holy Roman Catholic in the entire world. Every single saint, like the Theotokos herself, is appearing before him. He's getting personal private revelation. Latin's flashing before his eyes. He somehow remembers perfect Latin, how to spell all of these things. And then it just provides him personal comfort, or he's severely spiritually deluded, and you should not be listening to what he has to say on spiritual matters. Now, this one, I mean, send me that if you have that, by the way. Send me that clip if you have that. Send it to me in a DM on X or Instagram. I'd like to play wherever he said that, because he does strike me as the kind of guy that's repeatedly going to say, oh, this miracle happened to me. This miracle happened to me. This other miracle happened to me. Oh, this other miracle happened to me. It's just like a charismatic. It's like you go into church and it's like, oh, look, we got miracles every day. Oh, what? Your church just doesn't have grace like ours does. Because look at little Timmy over there rolling on the floor having a seizure. You're just jealous of how much we're just so grace-filled, dude. We got seizures going on every single day. We got people talking gibberish regularly, dude. This is a miracle right there. It's a miracle.
Somebody just had a dream that Catholic Sam was going to be unalived in the near future. Here is a message that they sent to Sam. Now, Sam and I were both a little bit shocked by this, but we didn't think much of it until Sam was told by somebody else that was at his parish that they had the same dream. Sam has then been told that 3 other people have had the same dream, that Catholic Sam is going to be unalived.
Literally, like all of Catholic Sam's friends are having this joint prophecy. We all had this dream. Catholic Sam, you're going to be unalived. We have to warn him. Save him. Save Catholic Sam. They're coming for him. Oh.
Soon. This could be nothing. It could be a huge coincidence, but
don't call me a false prophet, because it could be nothing. I just really wanted to post this for engagement.
But it also could not be a coincidence. This could be a sign from God.
This could be a sign from God himself. Oh my goodness. All of these people had prophetic dreams that Catholic Sam was going to be unalived. Well, you know what the scripture says? You'll know a false prophet when they make false prophecies. Pretty sure Catholic Sam's still alive. This video is like, I don't know. How old is this? This is at least months old. So you've got false prophecy after false prophecy. You've got supposed revelation that's being goy beamed into your brain. You've got like the saints appearing before you. And this is all happening within like a what? Less than a year span. How long has he been a Roman Catholic? He's been Roman Catholic for like a year, I think. So within a year, he's had personal revelation, Latin words flying in front of his face, prophecies that his friend's going to die. So he's got to post it on Instagram for engagement. He's had, what else? Oh, I got to show the actual initial video because he says towards the end, I feel like God has put me on a mission. Like I'm on a mission from God. Somebody was asking what do Orthodox priests say about listening to dreams? Don't freaking do it. Don't do it. Speed running spiritual delusion. If you have some mystical experience, you should always go and talk to your priest about it. Never just take it on its own and say like, "Oh, that means I'm chosen. I'm chosen." I had like a tingle in my pinky. That means I'm the chosen one. You know, go read the Lives of the Saints where they have these visions and it ends up being a demon that like just ruins their life. Go read some of that. Go read like Saint Simeon the Stylite, where a demonic delusion says that he's going to be the next Elijah and he wants to take him off into heaven. And then Saint Simeon the Stylite says, okay, well, before we do that, let me just make the sign of the cross. And he makes a sign of the cross, and the demon shrieks and disappears, and his foot is over the edge of his pillar. He's about to fall to his death. Go read some of the Orthodox saints. So anyway, yeah, but this is like a regular thing for this guy. Let me find the actual video. This was Jesusandwhatnot dreams. There you go.
And Whatnot channel. Recently, I've been getting a lot of requests to explain why I became a Catholic. For those of you of the saints, and it was talking.
I want to skip to where he's talking about this is like a mission from God or something.
And the director of evangelization, they told me I was going to be confirmed without going through OCIA and on the Easter Vigil, which was very, very interesting. So again,
so he needed zero catechism. They speed run him through. He didn't receive any catechism at all. So he didn't need to go through OCIA. They said, you're fine. You could skip past all of this. You had a dream. That's good enough. That's your documentation. You've had a dream. You've had a dream. You don't need catechism anymore. You passed the test because all of our crazy post-schism saints are all nuts and they have insane stuff happen to them all the time. Like they received the foreskin of Jesus as like a wedding ring. Or they're eating poop and diarrhea. So you having a bunch of Latin words flash in front of your face is kind of par for the course in the Delusion Olympics.
I truly believe that this was from God, and I'm so glad that I became Catholic. I'm not necessarily making this video to convince anyone of my beliefs or convince anyone that God spoke to me, but rather to explain why I have the beliefs that I do and why I'm so passionate about sharing these beliefs. I would also like to throw out the disclaimer. I've made it a couple times before, but the idea that I am still a new Catholic. I make these videos because I like talking about stuff. I didn't really expect to get the platform that I have. But it kind of just happened naturally. I believe that God has entrusted me with something very, very serious.
God has entrusted me with something very, very serious. God has placed me on this mission. This platform that I have has been ordained by God himself because I had this vision, because I had this dream. This dream means God has selected me to have all of these followers on Instagram as a 19-year-old that did not need catechism because his priest said, you're good enough. Go ahead. This is all from God. So he's been placed on a mission. He takes it very seriously. That's what he's saying. Red flags should be popping up literally everywhere.
Before, but the idea that I am still a new Catholic. I make these videos because I like talking about stuff. I didn't really expect to get the platform that I have, but it kind of just happened naturally. I believe that God has entrusted me with something very, very serious. A lot of people depend on the information I put out. So
all of the insane, prideful statements. A lot of people depend on the information I put out. They're dependent on me as a new Catholic that has received this revelation. They depend on the info I put out. My reels are necessary. They depend on this. If you take this away from me, you're basically like opposing God, dude. You're basically like opposing God. Because this was revealed to me in a dream. Don't you know this? What was it that Cameron Bertuzzi said? He said that if you deny Fatima, you're blaspheming the Holy Spirit. This is how these people think. A lot of people depend on my content. Imagine if I said that. Well, you know, there are a lot of people, they just wouldn't make it if the Cleavester wasn't out here doing live streams. They just wouldn't make it. I am the impenetrable fortress, that I am the shield wall preventing their collective apostasy. They depend on my information. Imagine if I was going to make statements like this. Good grief. If I ever get that insane, every single one of you should unsubscribe. That is nuts. That is nuts. We need to have some level of discernment. Good grief.
I pray that you guys take everything I say with a grain of salt and understand.
He says it over and over again. A lot of people depend on my content, but take all of that with a grain of salt. If I just say that, everything I say is fine. Yesterday, I literally levitated. I levitated at least a solid 5 feet off the ground. But take that with a grain of salt. I levitated all the way to my local parish. And I picked up the dome for 2 seconds. I did like 10 reps of dome presses. I placed it back down and then I levitated back. But I also I translocated right next to Donald Trump's office. I gave him a little smooch on the cheek. And then I was also simultaneously playing chess with Elon Musk. But take that with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt, guys.
That I am a human that makes errors. I'm doing my best to spread the truth, but at the end of the day,
that was explosive diarrhea. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I got confused. I couldn't tell the difference between having explosive diarrhea and levitating all the way to my local parish. Exactly. It's like when you're young and you tell all of these lies and you don't realize how obvious the lies are until you go back and you think about them later. That's exactly what this is going to be like. I hope that's the good outcome. The bad outcome is Prelest maxing spiritual delusion speed run.
I am a fallible human being, just like everyone else. Thank you for listening, and God bless.
All right. I do kind of want to watch the entire thing. But that was the important pieces there. So he says he received, it was beamed into his mind. You know what? Let's just watch the whole thing. Why not? Let's just watch the whole thing.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Jesus and Whatnot channel. Recently, I've been getting a lot of requests to explain why I became a Catholic. For those of you who don't know, I used to be a superlapsarian Calvinist attending a Presbyterian church. And since then, I have...
Oh, wait. In the Filth sent me something. Let me see. Oh, there you go. There you go. I saw Mary.
Quick question for my Protestant brothers and sisters. The other night, I had a really cool encounter with Mary, the mother.
So he's just getting visited. He's just getting visited by all the saints. Private revelation, personal saint visits. Next one, he's going to say, Jesus appeared to him. Then it's going to be Saint Francis. It's going to be Saint Francis of Assisi appeared to him and was like gardening for him. All my potatoes harvested themselves. Take this with a grain of salt, though. Literally, St. Francis of Assisi was tilling up my garden, and all of my potatoes were in a bag. Take this with a grain of salt. And then immediately after that, he said, I bestow upon you the gift of speaking to animals. I said, oh. Take this with a grain of salt, though.
Of God. Now, we can get into the details of that some other time, but long story short, she told me that I need to work harder at loving Jesus and loving those around me. Now, this got me thinking, what would my Protestant brothers and sisters say about an encounter like this? Now, hopefully you guys who watch my videos.
So I had a dream. I had an encounter. I don't know if it was a dream. He said like a vision or something, that Mary appeared to him and said he needs to get better at loving Jesus. Hey, get better. Hey, you, wake up, boy. Get better at it, dude. He's just having visions left and right.
Know that I would never lie about something like this. And also,
everybody who knows me knows I would never lie. I literally have never told a lie. In my entire life, I'm just like Abraham Lincoln. I would never lie about anything. I'm the most trustworthy man you could possibly imagine. Nobody could ever suspect me of anything malicious. This would never happen. Let me see if I can find, where was that? Where was that video I posted? I need to sort the Jesus and whatnot videos now, because there's so much crazy crap on this guy's show. Let me see, jaw. Let me search this up. You know what? I'll just go to Instagram. I'll watch the rest of that reel. But I think that's funny. He's like, everybody knows I would never lie. Everybody knows, everybody I've ever met said, Noah, you are the most trustworthy man I've ever seen in my entire life. No one would ever doubt what you say, because you are just so trustworthy. You've never lied your entire life. They all know this. Everybody I know, they say, Noah, he's the most trustworthy man I've ever met in my entire life. Never lied. As a matter of fact, one day ninjas broke into his house and held him down. They literally put little screws into his fingers and they said, tell me your name is Billy Bob. And as they tightened them, and he was screaming, oh! He said, I will never lie even about something so small.
Have you seen his biceps, or why am I here defending Jaw's biceps?
I have very large biceps.
Yeah, he does.
This is the most trustworthy man in the world.
How do they taste on biceps?
Okay, hold on a second.
And if we get to 15 $10 plus donations, we're going to do a virtual kiss. Yeah. So keep that in mind.
Love this one, bro. You can take it.
No. In all seriousness, I just like playing with it. Like, it's not. It's
Just
not
a bracelet.
I wish I could.
not
It's
not even right, like.
I wish I could skip to the part where he's talking about his crazy antics, where they're like outside of this guy's house and they're waiting to ambush one of their friends while they are booty butt naked, and they get chased around and stopped by the police. This man would never lie, very obviously. This is the most trustworthy man that you've ever met in your entire life. So you can believe him when he says that he's had saints personally appear to him.
My Protestant brothers and sisters say about an encounter like this. Now, hopefully you guys who watch my videos know that I would never.
Yeah, you guys didn't see that? Hold on, let me go see if I'm going to find it on X, so you don't have to watch the whole edit.
Lie about something like this. And also, I don't think that I'm delusional. If I am, you guys can let me know. But for now, I'm going to assume that I'm not.
Yeah, you're delusional, dude. I'm letting you know right now. You're absolutely delusional. 100%.
going crazy. So if we rule out those objections, the only one that is really left is that Marian apparitions are some sort of thing where Satan disguises himself to deceive believers. But like I just said, in this encounter, Mary told me to focus more on Christ. She told me to love those around me with all of my heart.
I had a Saint Paisios appear to me, and he said, "Hey, I'm appearing to you. You need to hear this. Be nice to people." Whoa. You not see that, like, even the fact that you're claiming that you're having all of these visions, all of these things, Satan could still say, he could still use something that seems positive as a way to puff you up with pride. You should read some of your own spiritual texts. Like Saint John of the Cross. He says quite often, he says in what is the text? Dark Night of the Soul. He says in Dark Night of the Soul that even through your theological lens, that Satan will often use good things to puff someone up with pride to make it easier to destroy them. So I know you're Roman Catholic, but maybe even read that. Your own theologians will say that this is a huge issue.
Why on earth would Satan deliver such a Christian message? We see really similar things with...
Yeah, why would Satan deliver such a Christian message? Maybe to puff you up with pride and destroy you?
Apparitions at Zaytun or at Fatima, where hundreds of thousands of people see Mary delivering very Christian messages, just like the one that I got to experience.
It didn't say anything at Zaytun.
So if this isn't from Satan, if these people aren't crazy, whose message is this? Is God speaking to people using the Mother of God? And if he is, why is he doing that? What message is he trying to show by sending Mary to deliver Christian messages to believers? And again, this is just a question. I'm not looking to argue with anyone. I genuinely just want to know the Protestant position on Marian apparitions like these, and specifically on the thing that I got to experience. Thank you guys in advance, and God bless.
All right, so some of you were asking about the one video where he was talking about how they were trying to ambush their friend or whatever. They were trying to ambush their friend and they were naked outside of his house. This was the video where they talk about that. And it's super weird, but at the same time, you should be able to have some discernment when people they're doing like a theological live stream. And they're going on there and they're just like, yeah, by the way, me and my friends, we just like, it's totally like a silly game. We just like get butt naked and we run around in the woods and we try to ambush our friends naked. And the cops show up and we're naked in a car.
And we're behind like this tree.
Completely naked, waiting for this kid to get home.
So we sneak around and we go behind this RV, and then bam, huge floodlight comes on. We're like, oh crap. And so like, we're like, what do we do? Like, we're hiding behind this RV completely naked. And then we hear something barking. We're like, what the heck is that? There's a dude walking his dog on the street at 1 a.m. And he sees us in the floodlight. He's walking this massive German Shepherd. And we hear, sick 'em boy. And then
sick 'em boys. We were just completely naked outside of we were totally chilling outside of our friend's house, completely booty butt naked. They say they're like playing like a game where it's like senior tag or whatever. And like you can't, like there's some kind of immunity, but you only get immunity if you do it butt naked. These are like the gayest games I could possibly imagine.
We just sprint in the opposite direction, not wearing any clothes at all. 4 squad cars pull up, 4 of them, because this guy thought that we were like getting ready to like
sexually assault someone because we were completely naked.
This cop gets out of his car. He comes up. He does not know that we are naked, I don't think. He taps on the window and I roll it down. 2 teenage boys completely naked in this car together. And he just like kind of stands there and goes, boys, where are your clothes at?
Boys, where are your clothes at? Boys. Yeah. You know, I would never, this strikes me as the most trustworthy man I've ever met in my life. I would never doubt his honesty about anything ever. Marian apparition, all of the saints personally appearing to him, having dreams where Latin text is just scrolling across his face and he wakes up and he's able to translate it, even though he doesn't know Latin at all. And they all just happen to say like, Rome is based. Orthodoxy sucks. Rome is so based. I had another dream last night. There were tornadoes everywhere, and it told me you need to read Against the Donatists to own the Ortho Bros. Dude, it's just complete lies. Yeah, I had a dream where I was bald and cleaved to voluminous hair was making fun of me. This is totally real and not made up. And totally, this is a sign the end is near. Very true, actually. I can actually verify that one. I can verify that one. I had Ethiopian Debteras cast the cleave to voluminous hair spell on you, so you would have that dream specifically. He was also visited by Prophet ChatGPT and gave him a message to win a debate. Oh, that's true. So he didn't actually search it up. This was just provided to him in a dream. If he keeps getting all these visits, you'll be going back to Roman Catholicism. It's over, dude. It's true. How can we argue the strength of these miracle claims? We just can't. We can't. It's too convincing. The miracle claims are just too convincing. I cannot understate this enough.
I've done it a couple times before. What I typically do for a kissy mirror pick, I
take off my shirt.
And I make sure that I haven't eaten a lot of foods, so that I'm not very bloated. And then I rest like.
I rest my butt on the sink a little bit.
Oh wow!
I do like
I don't. I guess get the photo out of your heads now.
How could you ever distrust somebody like this? How could you ever distrust them? I don't know. He's like the most trustworthy guy I've ever seen in my life. I had a dream of Alex in drag, dressed as Erica Kirk, stealing hair. Cleve was replaced with Kirk to antiquity, losing it with BB Dyer laughing. Thank you, both Candace and John. Now I know the truth. Oh, we solved it. We solved the riddle. It was BB Dyer. It was BB Dyer. So he's getting all these dreams and stuff. Let's react to the full Why I Became Catholic video. So this is only 10 minutes. It's not that long.
Converted to Roman Catholicism. And a lot of people are confused as to why I made that decision. So here is a video outlining everything that led up to my conversion. I'd like to start off this story before I actually became Christian. You see, I grew up in a Christian household, but I didn't really believe in God, and definitely not Jesus Christ. Now, I would go to church with my family on Sundays, but I would also make fun of them for believing what the pastor was saying. I would make fun of them for their belief in their faith, and I regret doing all of these things. But by the time I reached the age 13 or 14, I started having some serious mental health issues. I lacked any real drive to do anything good with my life. I lacked any motivation, and I started to feel like life wasn't worth living anymore. Luckily, Jesus Christ had mercy on my soul, and he convinced me to start paying attention at church.
So he suffered from severe mental illness, and then he had a dream that solved it all.
I started really focusing in on what the pastor was saying, and I started realizing that a lot of the things said in the Bible could be applicable to my life. And eventually, I decided to get baptized in the Presbyterian church.
Well, I'm not mocking anybody that has mental illness, but it doesn't necessarily surprise me that the guy that is a serial liar suffered from severe mental health issues, had delusional dreams, and claims to be visited by like every saint under the sun. That doesn't necessarily shock me that component is there.
My family was attending. After my baptism, I became rather close friends with my pastor, and he recommended that I read Calvin's Institute. So I promptly bought a copy and started annotating the writings of John Calvin. And let me
being 13 with severe mental illness should be another massive red flag. Pray for him, by the way. Pray for this guy.
I definitely learned a lot, and the ability to read more about Christianity outside of the Bible, the ability to learn from Calvin and see all of these big fancy words being tossed around made me feel like Christianity wasn't for dumb people, but rather for really smart people. And I started taking pride, not sinful pride, but pride and joy in knowing about Christianity. So I started a Bible study with my friend group, and we started talking about theology, talking about the Bible, and I started to really enjoy being a Christian. Eventually, this Bible study started to grow, and we had about 35 people attending every single week. And then one of my old friends came up to me. He's a seminarian now, by the way. Please pray for him. But he came up to me after class one day and said, "Hey, I know you have this Bible study. I'm a Catholic. Am I allowed?"
My first super chat, kind of nervous. Everyone in chat, laugh at this man. Everyone at chat, spam LOL. Spam LOL at this man right now. This is his first super chat. His first super chat ever, and he's nervous. Spam LOL. Everyone laugh at this man right now. Everyone, literally everyone in the chat, literally everyone harass him.
To go. And I didn't know anything about Catholics, but I knew that they were Christians and they believed in Jesus Christ. So I said, of course, man, feel free to come. So he started coming to this Bible study, and then he brought a couple of his Catholic friends, and then
no one's ever going to super chat ever again. No, just completely sabotaging my own channel. No one's ever going to super chat again. No, I'm just joking with you. Thank you for supporting the show. We do a little trolling. We do a little trolling. That's right.
Started to get a little bit dicey because we disagreed on a lot of theological topics. They started coming to the Bible study pretty regularly, and there we would start talking about all of the cool theological topics that we disagreed on. They would tell me about the papacy, about the Eucharist, and about Mary, and I would tell them about predestination. I would tell them about tulip, total depravity, all of this cool stuff. And I was super into it. I was having a blast. But back then I was a lot more stubborn, so I probably came off as pretty harsh. Sorry, guys. Now, I didn't really give weight to much of their arguments until one night when my friend, the now seminarian, brought up the Eucharist. He started telling me about the John 6 passage and about Eucharistic miracles, and I was pretty shocked, to be honest. And this kind of...
Yeah. He said $2,000, not $5. That's right. You get the rest of that $2,000. That clip is so nuts. The Bishop Marvin Winans, fake bishop guy. That was like, he was like, I said 1,000 plus 1,000. I said 1,000 plus 1,000. You come up here with $1,200? That ain't what I asked for, man. I wanted $2,000. She's up there with her like little kid, super embarrassed.
Opened the gates to me understanding what Catholicism was about. We started texting back and forth. We had a group chat filled with Catholics and myself defending, Calvinism at the time, and we had a lot of good conversations, but overall, I still wasn't ready to make that switch. One night, I sent them a text and I said, hey, I understand a lot of your guys' beliefs now, and I think there is some credence to what you're saying, but I will never become...
Yeah, you don't say in the filth. Made up stories about Marian visitations, naked homo-romantic walks in the woods, using AI resources in a debate, not starting his apologist career off good. Well, you're missing the total recall. The total recall precog predictions of Catholic Sam's death. Did you see that? They were like, everybody around him was having visions that Catholic Sam was going to die. So I had to make this video so we could all pray. It doesn't happen. Everybody start now. And 55,000 Roman Catholics liked that. Zero discernment.
I'm Catholic until you guys can show me intercession of the saints in the Bible. Now, obviously, I wasn't thinking to myself, if they show me a verse, then I will become Catholic. It was more an empty offer, but they took it pretty seriously. And they started sending me all of these Bible verses from Revelation and from Hebrews 12, all of these verses that really did build up the idea of intercession of the saints. But I was too stubborn. I told them that it wasn't enough and that I still wasn't going to become Catholic. And they tried really hard. They really did. So again, sorry, guys. But one night they said, hey, we're not going to be able to convince you that intercession of the saints is the truth, but we do have an idea. We want you to pray tonight to Mary and another saint of your choice and ask them to pray for you. And then afterwards, pray to God and ask for forgiveness if this was wrong. Now, I heard this idea, and at first I was pretty hesitant, but I decided, you know what? God knows what my intentions are.
Oh, you're right. He didn't say when he would die. You're so true. So true. That's like a good backpedal for like a false prophecy. I prophesy that Cleve is going to die. Oh, but I never said when. I never said when it doesn't happen for like 5 years. I never said when. Like 60 years later, then I finally croak.
He knows where my heart is at.
I never said everybody dies. So this is a pretty safe bet. Take it with a grain of salt. Just take it with a grain of salt.
And he will forgive me if what I did was wrong. So I asked for their intercession. I asked for them to pray for me. I called upon the intercession of Mary. I just said a Hail Mary and kind of an awkward chat with her. And then I also asked.
Hey, W Jim Bob raid. We love Jim Bob. Spam W Jim Bob in the chat right now. W Jim. I'm loving his iconography stuff that he's doing. If he keeps doing it, I would like to buy one from him. That would be cool. Support our fellow ortho bros when they're doing neat stuff. Plus that icon looked cool. The one that he just finished where he's touching up the beard.
For the intercession of Saint Augustine, whose confessions I was reading at the time. After I prayed to these things, I asked God for forgiveness, and I was expecting to feel really guilty, but strangely enough, I felt a lot of peace after this intercessory prayer. And then I went to sleep, and while I was sleeping, I had a dream, and the dream, I won't go into the details, was entirely in Latin. I saw all of these
dreams entirely in Latin.
Golden words flashing in front of my eyes, and there was a whole plot about, getting home to New Jerusalem.
A bunch of golden words flashing in front of his eyes, getting home to New Jerusalem. There's a whole narrative, a whole plot. It's like a Spider-Man movie in his dream.
And when I woke up in the morning, I translated the Latin words, which is a language I didn't speak, by the way. So I couldn't have made this up.
Which is a really weird detail to include. So again, just to highlight, I mean, we're kind of like, I don't need to play through the rest of this because we saw the last half of this. But basically he says he translates the Latin himself, even though he doesn't know Latin. He somehow remembered how to perfectly spell this and enter this into some kind of AI to translate it for him. And the Latin says intercession to the saints is based. So he calls his friend and he says, I need to become Roman Catholic right now. This is what's going on here. And then he has the precog visions where they're predicting Catholic Sam's death. Just nuts. Why are there so many of these?
Somebody just had a dream that Catholic Sam was going to be unalived in the near future. Here is a message that they sent to Sam. Now, Sam and I were both a little bit shocked by this, but we didn't think much of it until Sam was told by somebody else that was at his parish that they had the same dream. Sam has then been told that 3 other people have had the same dream, that Catholic Sam is going to be unalived soon. This could be nothing. It could be a huge coincidence.
55,000. 55,000. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. 55,000 Roman Catholics were convinced by this. Guys, everybody like and repost. Everybody, if you don't want Catholic Sam to die, like and repost my like and repost my video. Please. I had a vision. I had 2 people I know come up to me. I would never lie about this. Everybody knows I'm the most trustworthy guy. Everybody knows this. I'm literally beyond reproach. I had 10 people come up to me and they said, Cleve, we had a vision. We had a vision that your skin is going to melt off. Everybody, send in super chats so my skin doesn't melt off. I need 30 super chats right now. 10 people said it. 10 people said it. I don't know if this is real or not. Take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt. But 10 people said my skin's going to melt. I don't like, all right. This is just nuts. So somebody was reminding me of an old Taylor Marshal prophecy. Do you guys remember this? Taylor Marshal's prophetic dream. Have you guys seen it? This is going to blow your mind. So this is what happens when you don't have the doctrine of Prelest in your church. This is what happens when you do not have these safeguards. It is absolutely brutal. Here. So yeah, is the milk. So this was in 2020. Here you go. This is Taylor Marshall's prophetic dream. This is his milk delusion. The milk truck arrive vision.
Well, I'm not a visionary. I'm certainly not a prophet, but I have seen supernatural things in my life as a Christian, as a Catholic, and one of those things happened last night, and I'm reluctant to share it, but I think it'll be of comfort to other people. So yesterday I went to confession, and one of the things I confessed was being prideful and judgmental and worried and concerned about the state of the church and corruption in the church and scandals. And it's been a kind of a struggle for me lately. So anyway, I confess that. And
yeah, like every single Roman Catholic in the entire world, because you have scandals every single day, massive ones. They're literally worshiping Pachamama. Like, we just did a whole 4-hour stream yesterday highlighting Pope Leo's involvement in the United Nations, saying they're subservient to them, highlighting the recent Pachamama ritual that they did in Peru to welcome him to the country. They did that like in preparation to his visit. Leo's previous Pachamama worship in 1995. All the appointment of pro-gay bishop. You have every single right to be stressed out, Taylor Marshal. Your church is not the one true church. It's completely taken over, head to toe.
the priest had some very good things to counsel me on that. And later that night, which was last night,
Pachamama is a Peruvian pagan goddess. She's like a Mother Earth figure that they used to do human sacrifices to back in the day. But all of these like global warming people, the climate change activists and stuff like this, they go on these eco-theology trips and they'll worship Pachamama to like heal the earth. And they offer food and drink offerings to this thing. A couple of days ago, I covered this yesterday. So go watch a stream from yesterday. I have footage literally of the bishops offering cocoa leaves to this demon idol. This is what the Roman Catholics are doing. It's not even a conspiracy. It's right there. It's recorded. And the Vatican statement about this event was, we did this in preparation to Leo's visit to Peru. That was the Vatican news statement on this. They're not even hiding it.
I was doing an examination of conscience before bed, and I was thinking on that point of being worried and concerned and judgmental and all these negative thoughts and emotions about the Holy Catholic Church, Mother Church. And as I was, suddenly, like, I saw this beautiful woman. She had blonde hair. She was perfect, no wrinkles, no spots. And I immediately discerned that this was Holy Mother of the Church.
I immediately discerned in my dream that this woman that appeared before me was the Holy Mother of the Church. So he's having a dream. Now let's hear what he says about this dream.
And she was writhing in pain. She was in a bed and there's sheets on her, and she was very sick. And I noticed that her breasts were engorged with milk.
So Dr. Taylor Marshal has a dream of this woman that's laying down in bed, sheets cover over her, she's sick, but her breasts are engorged with milk. Oh my goodness. You literally cannot make it up, dude. Hold on.
She was in a bed and there's sheets on her, and she was very sick. And I noticed that her breasts were engorged with milk, tons of milk.
Tons of
there were
milk.
Babies and children crying out to her that were hungry, and she wanted to feed them, and she was upset, but she was so sick she could hardly sit up from her bed. And then I thought to myself, oh, she's poisoned. She doesn't want to nurse the children because then she'll give them the poison. And then there was this voice. It was like, God.
She's poisoned. She's poisoned. She does it. Her breasts are engorged. We've got to release the milk. This is like, who's the dude from that show? Gosh, I don't know why I can't think of it. The blonde dude that's like drinking the breast milk, the superhero guy. You know what I'm talking about?
God or an angel, I don't know. And it said, no, the milk is still pure.
Yeah, Homelander.
And
Homelander. That's right. Yeah, Homelander. He's literally Homelander. He's like, we've got to free the milk. Her breasts are engorged. This is the Prelest dreams that these people are having, and they're buying this stuff, And this is what's keeping them, these demonic delusions. This is what is keeping them from leaving their false institutions that have been completely hijacked, that are doing gay pride masses in the Vatican. But no, I had a dream where Mother Church's boobs were really big. And I noticed they were huge. They were massive. And she wanted to give everybody some milk, but she was poisoned. So this told me I had to stay Roman Catholic because of the big booby church dream. Good grief.
So I saw her there in all of her beauty, but so sick and struggling and loving those children, and seeing her, all that milk stored up.
You just keep talking about the milk and seeing all that milk. I saw all this milk
there. And I realized that the sacramental graces, the dogma, the doctrine, the morality, all of that in the church is pure. There's poison in the church. The church is hurting. There's always been some poison in the church. And Mother Church.
So good grief. All right. So we've got, I mean, the Roman Catholic influencer sphere is not doing too well. You've got Taylor Marshal with the big booby church, Prelest dreams. You've got the Noah kid saying that he had visions that basically there was a bunch of Latin flying in front of his face. And then it said, you got to come home to the New Jerusalem. And then he woke up and he somehow knew Latin. And he was like, oh, no, he actually didn't know it. He didn't know Latin, but he somehow remembered how to spell everything. And then he put it into an AI chatbot, I'm assuming, and it translated it for him. And it said, like, intercession of the saints is good. And then he has another dream of tornadoes and people getting sucked up and into the tornado and they're being destroyed. And it just so happens to be a slop argument against Orthodoxy. And he's trying to present it as like, oh no, bro, like totally. It's just like read this. It's just like read this saint. Just like read the saint. Go watch his other videos where he literally uses the same writings as a slop argument against Orthodoxy. He's trying to do a tongue-in-cheek, like, oh, it said go read these writings. Like, if you're like Orthodox and you're thinking about becoming Roman Catholic, my dream said I have a message to give to you. Just go read it. And look, you can trust me because that's a divine vision that I had. But take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt. But if you're convinced though, it's from God. So you can't question it. But take it with a grain of salt though. But it might be from God. So like this is a message from God. Like and subscribe. This is a message from God. Like this is the whole shtick. This is one more of the 30 needed to save your skin because it has already melted your hair. Let's hope no fireballs hit. Yeah, very true. Very true, guys. Help hit the super chat goal or my skin will literally melt off. I had a prophetic vision. Every single saint, like every saint in the entire world in all of history appeared before me and it pointed at me and my skin was falling off. So I need a zillion super chats. As the commercial says, milk, it does the body good. There you go. Good grief. So you've got Taylor Marshal with his milk delusion. Yeah, remember Timothy Gordon is this guy's co-host, or was, I guess. Dr. Taylor Milkers. Dr. Taylor Milkers. Who relies on his mystical visions of breasts. This is when people ask me, why do these people stay in their church? Why do these people stay Roman Catholic despite all of the insane crap that's going on? It's because they're receiving insane demonic delusions goy beamed directly into their brain that's telling them, please don't leave the false institution. Here's a vision of giant engorged breasts filled with milk. And that's really not that far off from what the post Vatican II women histrionic saints have said, or others. I mean, you could just look at a couple of different examples. We've talked about this on the show before, but the creator of the Catholic Sacred Heart devotion, which they commemorate liturgically. They literally have an entire feast day celebrating this devotion here. They do this regularly. Margaret Mary Alacoque, completely spiritually deluded. But since they're not the Church of Christ established, they don't have any mechanism to prevent these spiritual delusions. They don't have the doctrine of Prelest. They don't have any of these things. Their monastic, their prayer life is completely different. They encourage this practice of imaginative prayer. So it's not that difficult to see when you have this practice where you're encouraging people to like picture the wounds of Christ, picture all the blood pouring from his face, picture him suffering on the cross, picture yourself up there, picture yourself getting nails driven into your skin, picture all of these things in prayer, that then opens up other imaginative delusions. So you're working yourself up into this kind of like false ecstatic state where you're like, oh, I really am there. I totally felt it. I felt the nail go into my skin. It's like when I was a kid and we would go out into the woods and we had this tree house and I would mess with people. I would mess with my friends and I tell them, go, oh dude, like go look. Like, it's not that hard to convince people that what they're seeing is real. It's like, oh, go look in the woods. Like there's eyes out there. That's a Florida panther. Dude, he's right out there. It's like completely dark. It's like a raccoon or something. Like, dude, do you see the panther? And then your friend's like, oh yeah, I can see that. Oh no, there's a panther out there. Like it's just like the same thing. This is the exact same thing. So you have this entire spiritual life where you are working yourself up into this ecstatic state by doing these imaginative prayers. You're contemplating all of these things every single day as you're going into prayer. This is speed running delusion. Whereas from the Orthodox view, we do not promote imaginative prayer. The true prayer is becoming a master of the Jesus prayer. It has nothing to do with picturing things in your head. You want to like almost empty your mind. It needs to be, it's like it becomes like a prayer of the heart. So completely different paradigm. So of course it makes sense that they're monastics and all of these people would have absolutely crazy deluded things in their writings. So anyway, the creator of the Sacred Heart devotion received tons of visions and all of these things, and she was severely deluded. This woman literally ate another nun's vomit and feces and diarrhea. This is what this person did. She's sucking. Look, if you have a weak stomach, mute for a minute. She's literally sucking the pus from cancer patients. This is the type of person that Margaret Mary Alacoque, the creator of the Sacred Heart devotion, that had the vision that is credited for this popular devotion in Roman Catholicism that they literally have a feast day named after. I mean, it's speed running delusion. Saint Catherine of Siena, she had a vision in which she was spiritually married to Jesus, and he presented her a ring made of his foreskin, and she got married to him with a foreskin ring. This same woman said that even if the Pope was Satan himself, you still have to submit yourself to the Pope, even if he's Satan. So no matter what, like the people that are so spiritually deluded because they're receiving all of this constant visions and all of this stuff boy beamed into their brain, they won't leave even if the church is run by Satan himself. This is how far this like spiritual emotionalism and spiritual delusion will take you and keep you in this false institution. And then it's encouraged because their saints that they look up to, quote unquote saints that they look up to, literally promote this stuff. Here's a writing from St. Catherine of Siena. When she had, I'll do this. I'll open this up and I'll share it on the screen, actually. Let me download this little screenshot and pull it up. Hold on. I'll just read it to you. It's fine. This is from her, either her diary or this was her father confessor writing this about her. There are two major texts. I don't remember exactly where I got this citation from. It was one of these two books, but this is about Catherine of Siena. When she had, and again, if you have a weak stomach, mute this. When she had washed the sores, she knew it was impossible for her to continue with this work any longer. Filled with anger against her own miserable flesh, that is, Catherine's condemning her own physical weakness, she seized the bowl, which was full of the water she has washed the sores with, and full of pus from the sores. She says, by the life of the Almighty, by the beloved bridegroom of my soul, you shall receive in your stomach that which you feel such fear of. She turned from the bed and drank the contents of the bowl. Later, she confessed to her spiritual director and confessor that once she had mastered her revulsion, the horrible drink even seemed delicious to her. And from that time on, she never felt any reluctance about looking after Andrea, the nun that was plagued with cancer. Notice a couple of things about this text. Not only did she do this, but she had to do this a number of times because she said after a while, after she had mastered her revulsion, the drink later on seemed delicious. So this became kind of like a pastime to this woman. And these are the saints. These are their spiritual role models. So it shouldn't surprise you when you've got people with doctorate degrees that are going out there talking about the Roman Catholic faith, and they're having these dreams of grand delusion in which they're experiencing visions of ladies with big swollen boobies, and this is what's keeping them in the church. This should be of no surprise to you. Here's another citation. This is from the life of Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque on page 81. It happened once when I was tending a patient who was suffering from dysentery. So he had diarrhea. I was overcome by a feeling of nausea. He gave me so severe a reprimand, I felt urged to repair this fault. The saint then performed an act so repulsive to nature that not only would no one have advised it, but no one would even have permitted it. This is written by her father confessor. Basically, she ate the guy's diarrhea. These are the saints of the Roman Catholic Church. The St. Catherine of Siena thing is pretty wild. And they try to cover this stuff up. So there was an entire thing where in the 1900s, they literally decreed an excommunication of anybody that would talk about the relic of Jesus's foreskin, which St. Catherine of Siena claimed to have wore. She claimed to have wore this as like this was like her wedding ring. Until the 1900s, facing increasing criticism after the rediscovery of a holy foreskin in France, the Vatican decreed anyone who wrote about or spoke the name of the holy foreskin would face excommunication. They were literally excommunicating people that were embarrassing the church by mentioning the St. Catherine of Siena foreskin ring. They were literally kicking people out of the church for exposing this. 58 years later, when a monk wanted to include Calcutta in a pilgrimage tour guide, Vatican officials didn't just reject the proposal, they upped the punishment. Now anyone uttering its name would face the harshest form of excommunication. They would be declared infamous and to be avoided. Infamous and to be avoided. So not only do they have absolutely schizoid saints, they have excommunications associated with discussing the most wild parts of their lives. and the relics that they claim to have received in visions and dreams. So anyway, I thought that would be that's interesting to discuss, because this isn't an isolated issue. This is an epistemic issue. This is an issue with their foundation. The very foundation of their prayer life lends to the increase in delusion in the Roman Catholic Church. There's a reason why you have all of these people acting like they themselves are chosen by God. They've been sent on a mission. They've received personal private revelation that tells them they need to stay in the Roman Catholic Church. You have the Jesusandwhatnot kid literally saying, hey, I got a mission. I got a mission from God, and that's to run my Instagram page. God has ordained my Instagram page. People depend on the content that I put out, or they're going to fall into apostasy. I mean, these should all be red flags that these people are suffering from prideful delusion. Yeah, interesting parallels with Protestantism where they make themselves the hero. Absolutely. 100%. So multiple different Roman Catholics that are dealing with delusion. I mean, is it any surprise when you have the like celebrity exorcist priests like this guy, Father Ripperger? Let's see if we can find this. Father Ripperger, who is claiming that he speaks with demons. Let me see if I can find that video. Demon speaks. He's literally claiming he's speaking with demons. He's like getting advice from demons and stuff. Hold on, let me see if I can find this. Oh, this was one where he said he was talking to a demon, and the demon said, "I'm the one that makes people gay."
Another thing in relationship to Raphael, so also Raphael.
I don't know if this clip is gonna include the part where he says he was speaking to the demon, and the demon told him that he's the one that makes people gay.
Sequestered. He's one of the nemeses of Asmodeus, who's the demon of homosexuality in men. He's also a demon of impurity. But in the Old Testament, he sequesters him in the deserts. And so you can ask Saint Raphael if you're dealing with that particular demon, but you can ask Saint Raphael to be the one to help you in that regard.
Oh, that didn't even talk about it. Father Ripperger talking to demons. I want to see if I can find that clip. A demon told this exorcist, that's how I took the government out. Satan admits he hates it. There you go.
Where do these people think they go when they die?
Well, they know they go to hell.
Why would you want to go to hell?
Well, because they have a false impression, because the demons will leave us with this, is that if they do a lot of evil in this life, which empowers.
So the guy is literally saying he spoke to Satan himself, and Satan says, "Oh, this is actually my secret weakness. You're just so special. Satan's going to reveal his weaknesses to you."
The demons, then that will give them power when they get to hell. And so when they have that, and they actually believe the exercise of their power in hell will be something that they can then have a kind of a comfortable hell, or it's not going to be as bad because I have all this power. And part of it is that they just have an aversion towards things that are good anyway. And so they don't want to go that route. But they so I'm going to end up in hell, so I might as well get as far as I can. And that's one of the things we're seeing among some of the Satanists now, is that's why they engage in things like child sacrifice and things of that sort, because they're thinking that once they get to hell, they're going to have all this power. But what they don't realize is that something which Satan himself actually once said to me.
So something which, no big deal. I'm just gonna drop this casually here. Satan, me and old Satan, we were just having a nice chat, and Satan says, "Hey, Father Ripperger, you know what I really hate? I really hate when people do this." So he's literally just he says he's talking to Satan himself. I mean, is this not just like the most obvious delusion possible?
Because I was noticing something in his behavior, because I wrote 3 books in psychology. So one of the things I just started doing is watching patterns of behavior of these guys, and both as individuals and as general, a lot of demons. And And I said to him, I said, your exercise of power in hell is actually painful, isn't it? It's not pleasant. He says, no, I hate it. He says, I use it.
He's just having a nice chat with Satan. Satan's chilling, and he's like, Satan, doesn't it get tired for you to exercise your power in hell? And Satan talks back to me. He's like, yeah, I'm glad you could really empathize with me, Father Ripperger. I'm glad you could really empathize with me. It's really hard being Satan. I'm just so busy throughout the day. I've got so much to do. So many, if you've ever seen Little Nicky, so many pineapples to shove.
To keep, to try and protect myself, but I hate it. And so they don't seem to realize that even they might get a certain amount of delight in having all this power in this life, but even if they have it in the next, they'll be miserable. And they don't see it.
We're miserable in this life too.
They are miserable, but they think it's going to be like this life.
Man. Thank you. It's gonna be a heavy interview. So everybody starts off with an introduction here.
So that was basically the beginning. So he's like, yeah, oh yeah. I was talking to Satan, no big deal. Satan told me basically he really hates running hell. It's no fun. It's actually kind of cringe. Me and Satan, we were in a COD lobby together. He was dropping the gamer word. I didn't like it. I said, Satan, cut it out. You're going to get me banned, dude. You're going to get me banned from this COD lobby, dude. This isn't the early 2010s. You can't be dropping the gamer word. And he says, I don't care. He was drinking Rolling Rock. Satan was drinking like 8 Rolling Rocks. I said, Satan, calm down. You shouldn't have any more Rolling Rock. He said, you can't tell me what to do. He's having like a whole chat with Satan in his head, dude. Yeah, what makes him think Satan won't lie to him? I have no idea, bro. It's insane. Father Ripperger, I really want to see more clips. Talks to Demon. He does this all the time. He says crazy stuff like this all the time. Exorcist recounts the... Oh, he said it on Tucker, too.
I think you said you've cast out Satan himself.
You said you've cast out Satan himself. Yeah, I was casting out like a level 50 demon. It's like level 50. I had to use like extra smelling salts. I was casting out a level 50 demon. He said, actually, surprise, I'm actually Satan himself. Out the entire manuals. Like sometimes if you do this, like if you enter in the cheat code, then the demon has to tell you like everything. Then the demon, he's like bound, and you can totally trust everything he says. So that's my caveat. I would never be deceived. I would never be deceived by a demon. Couldn't happen. Because I did the cheat code that basically says, I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you. So I could never be deceived by a demon. This is true. This is very true. Muslims got camel healing. Yeah, they drink the pee. Hindus got cow poop. Catholics got water with pus and poo foreskin rings. Yeah, they do worship the same God. That's true. They have the same delusions. They have the same visions. They get visited by an angel in the desert. They have the same thing. That's so true.
Because Christ.
This is all stuff that he's saying is revealed to him from Satan himself. So he's talking about satanic knowledge that he got from Satan himself on Tucker's podcast.
Is light from light, right? Which we read in St. John's Gospel.
I don't know about you, dude. I don't necessarily think I want to be getting my theology from the devil, dude. I don't necessarily think I want to be getting my theology from Satan himself.
And then Satan is the father of lies. So he's the inversion of God, the Father. So you basically have this unholy trinity. So then
he's just a paladin who maxed out his holy fire and smite skills on Diablo. Oh, that's true. That's true. He just got back from defeating Mephisto, just another day at work. Oh, yeah. Well, Roman Catholicism is just literally a LARP video game at this point. There's so many clips I could play of this dude just saying the most insane stuff. He's like taking advice from demons on how to do things.
I commanded him to tell me, was this trifle? And then he
was beating up this demon. He's like, look, bah! Come here, Satan. Bah, bah, bah! That's like what was that? What was that thing? There was a meme. It was like, if I ever see the devil, I'm gonna find that. Hold on.
Basically,
Yeah.
No, that is what I want to do to the devil. Yeah.
Now that's what I'm gonna do to the devil. Yeah. You was just beating him up, dude.
oof, yeah.
Now that's what I want to do to the devil. Yeah.
No, that's what I want to do to the devil. Yeah.
When I first in the 80s, which is when it
Yeah. Only spoke to Satan twice. Rookie numbers. The Noah sees him every night in dreams. Oh my goodness. But jokes aside, this kind of thinking is crazy dangerous. Yes, it's insane. It is insanity. This is what's keeping people in their false institutions. Taylor Marshal having dreams of giant milkers that are engorged with milk, and this tells him he needs to stay Roman Catholic. You notice that in that video, what he was saying at the beginning was he was saying, I was stressed out, all of these scandals in the Roman Catholic Church. I was starting to have doubts, but then I had this dream of this woman lying in the bed, and I knew she was Mother Church, and she had giant engorged milky boobs. And she wanted to feed everyone, but she was poisoned. She had poison boobs. This is the insanity that keeps these people where they're at. It's insane. It's demonic. Yeah, I'm out of mana. I'm out of mana. Very true.
really picked up.
All right, hold on. There's another one. This is another good one.
Levitation. You mentioned shape-shifting.
Yeah, I've seen levitation twice.
What are you thinking when you see levitation?
There was an actual case where this guy that was possessed started speaking a form of Phoenician that had been defunct for 3,500 years.
Did you see somebody that could turn their head 360 degrees, the spider walk?
Beelzebub. He looks the same in every case I've ever had him in, where the jaw extends out, the eyes become bloodshot, they narrow, and the top of the head narrows.
What are some of the things you've seen during an exorcism? Levitation. You had mentioned shape.
Yeah, I saw like a demon. He had like 17,000 eyes. He had giant saber-toothed tiger teeth, and he actually had 3 fists. He tried to punch me. I dodged. I used my special skill, smite level 3. I smited him, and then when I defeated the first wave, the second wave in his second form appeared to me, and he basically had like exposed ribs, and he had 3 giant teeth that stuck down like this. It was almost like a buck tooth, but it was 3 giant teeth, and he had a giant rice hat on, and he had yellow skin. And he was saying, "Oh, don't you run from me. Don't you run from me, boy."
Shifting.
Yeah. If you've seen it on Hollywood, I've seen it. But it's only in about 7% of the cases are you going to see things that are really out there. Most of the cases, the thing that you're going to see the most of is morphing. That's our technical name for it. You're mentioning shape shifting. We call it morphing, which is basically
what you're going to see normally in an exorcism is morphing, where they just completely shift into something else. They just completely change. This is normal. This is like an average Tuesday for this guy, seeing people changing shape.
Where the person changes form or shape. And that's about, in the cases that you have, that's about 80 to 90% of what you're going to see, where the person will actually change shape. And so they'll, for example, the women will change, all of a sudden their facial structure changes and it looks like a man. So
like a skinwalker.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's also,
this is normal. They're just like, they totally like changed. Like I was like, hold on. Do I still have that meme? I hope I still have that meme. It's just like I saw Christian Wagner. Oh, I hope I have it. I'll find it. Hold on, I'll find it.
Certain kind of complexion changes. But the morphing can be everything from just all of a sudden that, women kind of look like a man, all the way down to they'll change into the shape of animals. Usually, like I said, if you're seeing the change of shape, it's telling you something about them. And that's why, when it comes to a lot of this stuff, they tend to be showmen. And so a lot of it's just parlor tricks. You have to know when you're just being played with and just ignore it. But which is with levitation, I just don't tolerate it. I've seen it. And
how many times have you seen it?
I've only seen it twice, but that's only because
I don't tolerate levitation. I just get mad. I say, "Hey, cut it out, demon. I tear you. I rip and tear you. Fireball, fire hands." This is like you said, shape-shifting is so normal. It's like 70% of the exorcism cases that he does, it's a shapeshifter. They just change shape. It's just like, I'm Father Ripperger. I was casting out demons from Christian Wagner, and he just completely changed before my eyes. He started changing. He morphed. And this was what was standing before me. This was Christian Wagner. This was he shifted. He shifted.
Tend to see other things like extreme forms of occult knowledge where people know stuff that there's no way this person could ever know this. Like exorcists, well, so like if you go to Italy, there's one exorcist, he sees levitation almost all the time. Other exorcists who have done it as long as I have never even seen it. So it changes depending based upon the particular exorcist. He'll tend to see more things other than once. I've seen a lot of morphing, that type of thing. But
I've seen a lot of morphing. I was exercising Christian Wagner, and he started talking ebonics. He started saying, "Hey yo, quit trying to cast me out, dog. Hey yo."
But the one I tend to see the most is occult knowledge or language, speaking languages that there's no way. In fact, I kind of
Did he say that in a video? Did Brian Davila really say he was levitating in a video? Can you send me that link?
laughed because when they put out the movie Nefarious, they were doing interviews afterwards, and they said, "Oh yeah, we consulted Father Ripper." I'm like, I don't remember talking to these guys. So I contacted my, they seemed straightforward enough, and the movie was actually pretty decent as far as it goes. And I'm like, so I asked my assistant, do we have any interaction with these guys? No, we got none. Well, then later they said, oh no, we just listened to all these videos, right? But in there they got something wrong though, because there was an actual case where this guy that was possessed started speaking a form of Phoenician that had been defunct for.
Oh dang! You should have posted it, Brian Davila. I just started levitating. Jay was pressing me in the debate, so I T-posed and I started levitating to assert my dominance. That's the pro tier strat, dude. If you're in a debate, you just got to start levitating and you got to shapeshift and turn into a black Christian Wagner. And then you'll literally win every debate. You'll literally win every single debate.
3,500 years. We didn't even know what he was speaking. We had to write it down phonetically. And then somebody who studies languages took a look at it and said, we think that's how this particular form of Phoenician was spoken. This kid didn't even finish high.
Yeah, this is like the same thing. This is like the same thing the Jesusandwhatnot kid said. I had this dream and I just saw a whole bunch of Latin, and then I just I didn't know Latin. I translated it all in the morning. I just happened to remember it all. Like, how are you understanding Phoenician? Are you writing all of this down? How are you getting this information to the other guy? This is all bogus. You guys are getting scammed. You're bringing these Roman Catholic exorcist priests on your shows to feed you crap. I got it over to a Phoenician expert. I just happen to remember exactly how to write perfect Phoenician. And then what he said to me, he said, "Wow, Father Ripperger, I've never seen a Catholic priest as handsome as you, and you're also super humble and totally not prideful at all. You're probably the most humble priest I've ever seen in my entire life, and also the most famous. And I'm really jealous of you. You could just make up whatever."
High school. So you'll see. So they'll see different things, but I've seen levitation twice.
Real.
What are you thinking when you see levitation?
I get annoyed by it, frankly.
That's it? You just get annoyed?
Yeah, because of the fact that usually they're doing it like...
It really bugs me. It really bugs me when I'm trying to cast out these demons. They start levitating in front of me. I said, get down, you silly goose.
The case that I had, one of them was Ball. He likes levitating. So I just don't tolerate it because he's trying to distract you and get you focusing on, well, that's kind of weird. Never seen that before. That's what he's trying to get you to do, when you should be focusing on other things and just hammering him. And it's just his way to try and gain control over the particular sessions. So that's why I just don't tolerate it. That's why in the beginning I said those set of prayers we say before we start the formal rite, to clamp down on any of that type of thing from.
Yeah, so you buy his story. We got it all. We got it all recorded, and then we got it over to a Phoenician expert, and then the Phoenician expert translated it for us, and he actually said, "Wow, this is like the most preserved Phoenician we've ever heard." If you are convinced by this, there's nothing I can do for you, dude. There's literally nothing that I can do for you. If this is the bar for you to be convinced to stay Roman Catholic, is because an exorcist priest that talks to Satan himself said he heard a demon talk perfect Phoenician, and then it was translated, and the translator said, "Wow, This is like the best Phoenician I've ever heard. Then there's not much I can do for you, my friend.
Happening.
Do you ever worry that you'll be the one that's deceived?
Well, you get deceived from time to time as an exorcist anyway, because you'll ask them, not necessarily about the broader picture, like in theology or things like that, but they're going to deceive you about the particulars of the case. They'll say things like, "Oh, well, the way you're going to get me out of here is you have to say this prayer, over her 3 times or something like."
Oh, there's like secret Gnostic code words that you have to say. Yeah, you just have to say these secret Gnostic code words, these like very special ancient secret knowledge. And then this is like the cheat code to defeating the demon.
That. And then so like, all right, that could be the case. So then you say it 3 times and then nothing happens. And then they'll laugh at you. And
Yeah, exactly. This is just like that lady. What was her name? Kate D'Souza. She said she was fighting a demon or something. Let me see if I can find it. Was it D'Souza? Hold on. I think I put this in Crazy Church. Let me find this real quick. There's that crazy lady that was saying there was like a wizard. He opened up a portal in my ceiling. And he opened up a portal in my ceiling. And the wizard came and he tried to stab me with a vorpal blade. So I cast a fireball on him, and then he went away. Where's this lady's video? I want to find this. Hold on, I'll play this while I'm looking for it.
you just work on your humility, knowing that that's going to happen, and Christ lets it happen for the sake of your own sanctification and for your own recognition that ultimately they only have to tell you what they tell you when he tells them they have to tell you. And so even though you're commanding them, and sometimes they'll give you information because Christ tells them, okay, you can tell them this stuff, but you can't talk about this stuff yet, or what have you. And so there's times when you're hammering them for weeks on end, and they say, "I'll tell you. I can't. He won't let me tell you." Now sometimes they're lying even about that, but usually you can kind of tell, because the way that when they're telling you the truth about something when they're under duress is they'll give you a flat hand answer, like, "No, it's this."
This one.
Let me tell a story. I actually had a spirit spouse coming after me, and this is when it happened. My husband started a trucking company. So as part of that, especially in the first 2 years or 3 years of it, he was out on the road a lot. Before, he was always home, and I was out on the road. But when I came home, we were together all the time because he was there. He was working from home. But once he started the trucking company, he was physically gone. Wow. And so a spirit spouse, because, of what I do too, it made it even more, tried to come in and claim me. Wow. Right. So I had to constantly go in the court.
Yeah, spirit spouse had to come in and claim me. This lady's completely nuts. Yeah, you're right. It is just about as convincing as this. This was another one where she said she and her husband are childless after aliens visited her and implanted an interdimensional device into her body that stole and harvested her egg.
Just a reminder of my testimony, which is going to bring in our content today, that I was visited when I was a young girl, and alien beings implanted an interdimensional device in me that harvested my eggs over my lifetime. Because eggs, you get hundreds of thousands of eggs when you're born with hundreds of thousands of eggs if you're female, but they don't mature until you ovulate. So this device obviously was harvesting them right when they would mature, so that they could then try to work their work. And I have no idea how they do that, but to try to create a hybrid child, which they actually eventually did. And I saw it, I was shown it, and its name was Starburst.
Its name was Starburst.
Yeah, that's why my husband and I are childless right now.
Starburst implanted a device that stole my eggs. So I want to highlight. So we covered a couple of things today. We covered the Noah dream delusion. We covered Taylor Marshal's milky vision, his milky dream. We've covered Father Ripperger as an example of extreme Prelest. Is it any surprise? Is it any surprise that these people literally like work together, and this is like the people that they look up to as their spiritual counselors and guides? this guy and this priest, Father Chad Ripperger, is like BFFs with Dr. Taylor Marshal. So is it any surprise when this guy is like his confidant, somebody who he's going to for advice and stuff, that Dr. Taylor Marshal starts having these insane visions and stuff? This guy's literally talking to Satan. You're being guided by a guy that gets his theology from Satan.
We're asking, in the chat, like, what about autism? What about post-traumatic syndrome? What about this? What about that? Do mental handicaps, disabilities, or injuries like post-traumatic syndrome, do those make people more open to the demonic or not at all?
Our consistent experience, I have prayed over hordes and hordes of those kinds of people, and our consistent experience is if there is an organic problem with the individual, that is like autism or what have you, our experience is that if there's any diabolic influence whatsoever, it's purely ordinary. It's never extraordinary. In fact, I have yet to come across
this one's probably not going to be that controversial, but he's done tons and tons and tons of videos with this guy. Diabolic influence. I spoke to an exorcist about demonic possession. 6 levels of demonic possession. Let's look at this.
Now, when you're liberating someone, I mean, the first step is obviously discovery. You got to figure out, is there a demon in here, right? That's stage one.
Father Ripperger as a paladin makes it sound based. How does he fight the demon of Chomo without fighting the Pope? I will cleanse this den of evil. Well, you know what? There's a video right here. Was Satan enthroned at the Vatican? Was Satan enthroned at the Vatican? I don't think he said anything controversial here, but I'd be curious to see what he says in this video too. But let's watch this one first.
Now, when you're liberating someone, I mean, the first step is obviously discovery. You got to figure out, is there a demon in here, right? That's stage one. What's right. Walk us through the different hurdles or the processes or stages, phases of liberation.
If you're talking about possession specifically, you mean? Yeah. So there's actually 6 stages. The 6th stage is just liberation itself. The first stage is what we call the discovery phase. I go into great detail on the priest side. I don't have it in the lay people side, but I have it in great detail. So is the discovery phase. And usually you're starting to think, maybe this person's problem is spiritual. Sometimes there will be a preternatural manifestation, which someone will see, and we're just like, okay, wait a minute, there's something here that we didn't see before. But people start to notice patterns of behavior that don't seem to really line out. They seem almost nefarious or evil. And so they're like wondering, or the person themselves will say, there's something wrong with me. They may not necessarily want to know what it is. So they'll go to a priest for help, etc. So, and then usually in that discovery phase, you'll say a series of prayers and kind of drive the demon to the surface. And at a certain point, he'll actually show himself. The second phase, although usually once they preternaturally manifest, and one of those 3 that we talked about earlier in this podcast, then you've entered into stage 3, which I'll mention here. But they also go, the second phase is what we call the obfuscation phase. That is where the demons are trying to confuse the person and the exorcist. Well, maybe she just needs more psychological help. Maybe she just needs another pill. Maybe she just needs to go see this other doctor.
This was kind of boring. Where was the one where he said Satan had infiltrated the Vatican or something? Satanic plot to hijack baptism?
I've heard lots of different things that could be the mark of the beast. The first one being the COVID shot.
Yeah.
With everything that we've just discussed, can the COVID shot be the mark of the beast? I'm against it. I didn't get it.
And again, this isn't me saying, for those of you that are like, I don't want to be insulting. I won't insult them. For those of you that maybe aren't able to follow along, I'm not saying exorcism is fake. I'm not saying exorcism is fake. I'm saying these people are very obviously lying and are spiritually deluded. There are real miracles. There are real miracles. There are real visions. There are real things that happen. There are real mystical experiences. They do not typically happen to 19-year-olds multiple times, back to back to back to back, and manifest themselves in the most prideful, obviously deluded ways possible. And no, it's obviously not a good idea. It should be a giant, massive red flag for anyone watching that if a priest is saying he's speaking to Satan and getting hidden knowledge from Satan himself, that this is literally, it should be the most massive red flag ever. But I know there are Roman Catholics that are still going to comment on this and say, Cleve is saying exorcism isn't real. Cleve is saying miracles don't exist. I'm not going to be rude to you. I'm just going to look at the camera and you can, with your magic powers, read my mind as to what I'm calling you in my head.
But I don't think you could say that it's the mark of the beast because it doesn't fulfill the conditions, which is forehead and hand. Unless you got the COVID shot between your eyes, that's obviously not it. And this is kind of what I'm talking about, where people read the book of Revelation, they read social media, and they just try to like jam things into the book of Revelation. Like, oh, the COVID shot, they're enforcing that. And the mark of the beast is going to be enforced. So that's what it is. No.
What are we supposed to do if we can't eat, take care of ourselves, provide for our families?
First of all, the mark of the beast is the inversion of what they call the mark of baptism.
You need to understand the mark of the beast is...
Anyway, so I just wanted to highlight this. I think this topic's kind of been beaten into the ground. So we can move on to the next thing that I wanted to discuss, which was this. So there was a video recently that was put out by somebody I actually like, Joel Webbin. So he's a conservative guy. He's a Christian nationalist. Okay, I obviously have massive reservations with Christian nationalism, with Reformed Protestants, because I don't know if you know this, if you know anything about history in the past, when Reformed Protestants have done Christian nationalism, and this has actually been in practice, what they did was they banned Christmas. They killed a whole bunch of Irish people. They chopped the king's head off, and then they set up their own like fake Council of the Saints, which fell apart immediately, and it almost led to the destruction of England. So I don't know if you've ever seen that before, but this would be like Cromwell. When I'm thinking Reformed Calvinist Christian nationalism, I'm thinking Cromwell. But I like Joel Webbin. I don't think he's a bad dude. I've invited him on the show to have a chat with me on Orthodoxy and Reformed Protestantism. I think he's a relatively intelligent guy. If he spoke to somebody about these things, I think he would actually get it. But he published this video that said, hold on, where's the initial one? He said something like, I like Roman Catholics, but I cannot be Catholic. Oh, it was this one. Oh, wait. He posted another one earlier. Was this yesterday? There you go. So this was from his friend. And he published this ahead of his interview on PBD that said, this was his friend posting this. It said, why I'm not Roman Catholic or Eastern Orthodox. And this was his buddy, a part of the New Christian Right, which is the movement that he's a part of. And he's laying down why he's not Roman Catholic and Orthodox. So let's watch this and we'll reply to some of these points. But I might have a conversation with Joel Webbin in the future. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, a real demon. This priest big capping on my name. Talking to Satan and all this other stuff. Absolutely wild. I'm going to play this. I'm going to run to the restroom while it starts, though, but we'll watch this and react to it.
I'm going to be sharing why I'm not Roman Catholic or Eastern Orthodox. In my weekly audit, I'll be sharing an extremely fair and helpful video resource from a former Roman Catholic and Orthodox Christian. All that and more coming up right now. Welcome to American Glory. This is season 2 on American Christianity. I'm your host, Dale Partridge. This is episode number 7 of season 2, and it's titled Why I'm Not Roman Catholic or Eastern Orthodox. Now, this episode will serve as part 1. Next week, I'll explain why I'm what I would call a Reformed Catholic, what that means, and why I believe you should be too. Now, why am I talking about this? Because this season, I'm going to be talking about 8 different episodes facing American Christianity. In my last episode, if you got a chance to listen or watch it, I was discussing the coming religious conflicts in America and why Christians must begin building Christian towns. And I laid out the basic ingredients required to establish those communities and the 4 institutions necessary to sustain them. Now, if you didn't know, American Glory is both a podcast and a video show. And if you want to listen to it, you can listen to it on the NXR podcast feed. You could also listen to it if you just search American Glory. You'll find that wherever podcasts can be listened to, whether.
Yeah, no, literally no one is denying exorcisms exist. I just said this a couple of moments ago. These people, is this guy just spurging in the chat the entire time? Buddy, relax a little bit.
Spotify, Apple, or anywhere you do listen to podcasts. Now, if you want to watch the video, which I recommend that you do because I put so much effort into all these slides to kind of make it like a documentary style function, you can do so by going to my YouTube channel, which is at Dale Park, Creep as an ally in our present moment. Okay. The West is being overtaken by Islam and Hinduism and Jewish supremacy and secular ideologies and moral chaos.
Yeah, I know this isn't Joel Webben. He's posting this as reasons he's not Roman Catholic or Eastern Orthodox. He did publish his own little short video. He did something on PBD where he offers some arguments, which I will go into as well, but I figure this would be a good place to start. Joel Webben published this. He said, why I'm not Roman Catholic or Eastern Orthodox, and he shared one of his friends' videos.
Infighting between our groups is a luxury of a victorious Christian society, and we do not have that luxury right now. So yes, our confession.
So we all got to be ecumenist. So we can't talk theology. We can't debate theology. We can't do these things. Infighting is when you tell somebody else they're wrong. Normally. Now let's see if he offers some nuance.
And traditions, they still divide us on several important matters, and Christians should worship according to conscience and conviction. But this is not the time to be spending all of our energy anathematizing one another and constantly shouting heretic or fighting over every secondary disagreement, while far greater threats are preparing to consume our families, our church.
Yeah, we got political problems. We got political problems. This means we shouldn't focus on debating theology. The thing that literally matters the most, the truth about Jesus Christ and his church. We got so many political issues right now. This means we can't discuss theology like this. Listen, we all have to be ecumenists. We need to form the one world religion immediately. If we don't do this, then the Muslims win. Every Christian, pretend your differences do not exist, and let's join forces. We will start the one world religion now. Totally not going to usher in the Antichrist, by the way, because I asked Father Ripperger, and he said he spoke to Satan, and Satan said this totally will not usher in the Antichrist. So I trust him.
Churches and our communities. So yes, these theological questions that we're going to be talking about today, they do matter. But right now we're facing, again, so many things, right? Mass abortion, mass atheism, mass pornography, feminism, paganism, sexual disorder, immodesty, demonic confusion, evil religious systems that are pressing hard against the Christians here in the West. Now, so to obsess over the intergroup disputes while the wolves are devouring the sheep and our fellow countrymen, I think is a serious misordering of priorities.
So we have to put politics over theology. This is what we have to do. The politics is the most important. Don't you understand this? You stupid dummy. Politics is the best, even over the faith. The faith comes second. We can talk about the faith later. We need to worry about politics now. The faith comes later.
So this episode, I'm going to try to represent those traditions fairly. I'm going to try to avoid strawmanning any of their positions and make the comparison with as much charity and clarity as possible. So I do believe that
it's just politics church, dude. It's just politics church. You made an idol out of politics.
Those people,
and I'm not even saying I disagree with them politically. You probably agree, except I don't want a reformed Protestant theocracy like under Cromwell, where they're just going to kill us all. I don't want that.
I would say this. I believe that there are Christians,
or like Doug Wilson saying, when the Christian nationalists win, we're going to ban Marian processions. We're going to ban any public display of idolatry, namely like images of Christ or Mary or the saints. We're going to ban all these things when we win. Yeah, I don't want that. And if that, I don't know if that is your position, if you have the same position as Doug Wilson, but if that is the position, then we can't even be political allies. But if that's not your position, maybe we can be. I don't know. We'll see.
In the Roman Catholic Church, I believe there are Christians in the Eastern Orthodox Church, and I believe there are Christians in the Protestant Church. And so I'm going to be talking about the differences between us theologically, but I'm going to try to do so with charity. So on that note, let's begin. Now, it's difficult to have this discussion with such a broad audience, okay, because people are coming from very different backgrounds. And so I think it's important to first lay out the historical landscape of the church and then tell you my own story. And then
No, I don't care. I don't care about any of that, actually. So let me skip forward.
Excommunications remained in place all the way until
Okay. I think I skipped you for it.
Developed different theological emphasis, lived under different political conditions, and gradually formed very different understandings of authority. So Rome increasingly emphasized the universal jurisdiction of its bishop, and the East maintained a more conciliar, which is just a word for council, church council, so more of a group model.
Oh, so he admits they maintained it. We maintained it. So we maintained the ecclesiology of the early church. Well, that's a good starting point, I think, to have discussions. If that's what you believe, the Orthodox maintain the ecclesiology of the early church. That's true.
Organized around the great patriarchal sees. Now, these differences didn't appear overnight, but over the centuries, they became harder and harder to reconcile. And then in 1054, the division was formalized in what we now know as the Great Schism. Now, the break grew out of just the...
She's just giving us a really low tier history lesson. I want to scoot forward into his arguments.
Is easy when ignorance is high. And when you have limited access to scripture.
Wait, what?
Conference.
And so to say that in the 16th century, in the 1500s, that the reformers essentially divided the church, it's too simplistic to say that. So the church was all...
Yeah, schism's really bad, but it's also a schism of a schism. I mean, if you were to read any of the early church fathers, go read Saint Ignatius on schism. Don't follow a schismatic. It's damnable. It sends you to hell. It's a big deal. It's a massive sin. Splitting off from the church. Granted, the Protestants didn't split off from the church that Christ established. They split off from a split off of the church that Christ established. So it's a double schismatic action. But yeah, schism is a sin. It's a massive sin. I mean, we have tons and tons and tons of citations on this. Talk about the dangers of schism. This is St. John Chrysostom. Causing divisions in the church is no lesser evil than falling into heresies. The sin of schism isn't washed away even by the blood of martyrdom. So even if you were to die a martyr, the sin of schism isn't washed away. So he's trying to paint this as like it's not a big deal. Well, to say like they divided the church is not necessarily accurate. They had really good reasons to split off. Things were totally corrupt and whatever, yada, yada, yada. Well, that might be the case. But what gave you the right to go and start your own church? Why didn't you just become Orthodox? Why didn't you just reconcile yourself to the church that Christ established? St. Cyprian of Carthage says, even if such men were slain in the confession of the name, that stain's not even washed away by blood. The inexpiable and grave fault of discord is not even purged by suffering. He cannot be a martyr who's not in the church. He cannot attain the kingdom who forsakes that which shall reign there. So schism is a major, major, major sin. They want to downplay it to the nth degree.
Already divided long before Luther. East and West had been separated for nearly 500 years at this point, and within the Western Church, there were already serious disputes over doctrine, authority, and of course, reform. Now, Catholics often say that Luther divided the Catholic Church, but here's my argument: institutional unity is easy when ignorance is high, and when you have limited access to Scripture and little freedom.
Institutional unity is easy when ignorance is high. So you just gotta, it's really easy when everyone's stupid. But when you start learning and you learn better than the hierarchs, then it's okay. Then you start splitting off because you're smarter than all the bishops. That's what it is.
To question ecclesiastical authority, and you have high illiteracy rates, it's hard to call that unity because it's really cloaked in ignorance. Before the Reformation,
it's hard to call it unity because everyone was really stupid before the Reformation. Everybody all of a sudden got real smart with Luther. Well, maybe they had access to more information, but he's saying unity is easier when everyone is ignorant. But is that really unity? No, because they don't know any better and they can't question the authorities. What? I mean, like, talk about the epitome of the Protestant mindset. When I learn more, I realize I'm smarter than those who are set above me, than the authorities. And I'm not saying this about the Roman Catholic Church, but from their perspective, yeah, I'm smarter than all the bishops that are put above me. So that means it's okay for me to split off and do my own thing because I proved them wrong. It's all about mind church. It's mind church.
The Mass in Western Europe was ordinarily conducted in Latin rather than the common language of the people. Latin is an ecclesiastical language. Now, even in the East, they didn't do this. They would actually perform their services in the language of the people. We also know in the West that translating scripture into the native language was highly restricted in various places and circumstances. An open questioning of ecclesiastical authority could result in excommunication. It could also...
By the way, y'all, support the show. Let's smash the goal. We're what, an hour left, I think, until the goal's done. And we're only at 10 out of 30 super chats. Support the show. I appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you so much.
If the religious and civil authorities overlapped in that particular instance, it could even end in capital punishment. Now, you can't talk about the Reformation without talking about the printing press. So in the early 1500s.
Yeah, we get it. The printing press, they learned a whole bunch. They thunk so much, they schism. I'm going to skip forward a bit because I don't really care about the history lesson. We all know this. This is very basic.
Melismic reform anyway. So in other words, the reformers, they didn't manufacture the Reformation. Okay. The printing press and the mass access to scripture was really it was undergirded this.
Yeah, that's right. You guys didn't hear. If we don't meet super chat goal, if we don't hit 30 super chats before we wrap up the stream, before this goal is done, all my skin is going to melt off. I had it revealed to me in a dream. 10 people told me, they said, actually it was revealed to everybody else in a dream. They said, we had a dream, Cleve, that your skin is going to melt off if you don't hit 30 super chats. And then I said, I would never lie about something like that. Take it with a grain of salt. But this also could be from God. Take it from a grain of salt. So on and so forth. Good grief, dude.
Reformation. The unity prior to access to the scripture was built heavily, again, on ignorance. But once people could read the scriptures and see that some of the practices within the Roman Catholic Church had no biblical warrant, and in some cases even went against scripture, the institutional distrust began to rise. So I don't view the Reformation primarily as the beginning of division, but as the beginning of a new period of doctrinal clarity. Now, if we want to understand the Reformation proper.
So the church is just ideas, basically. For a Protestant, the church is just ideas. This is why they have no problem committing infinite schism time and time and time again, schisming into oblivion. We're not going to call this schism. We're going to call this a new era of doctrinal clarity. Yeah, exactly.
We need to begin with the magisterial reform.
Save Cleve Fund. I don't want my skin to be melted off. Thank you so much, dude.
And so we're looking at Luther in Germany, Cranmer in England, Calvin in Geneva, Knox in Scotland, right? These men, they did not initially set out to inaugurate new Christian traditions. Okay, their stated aim was to reform the existing Roman Catholic Church according to Scripture and the teaching of the ancient church, the church fathers, which in my view...
Yeah, the teaching of the church fathers says if you commit schism, the stain's not even washed away by martyrdom. But to you, it's not a big deal. They commit schism when they come up with the right ideas. Yeah, the Reformation is just returning to the proper doctrine, which happens to be Reformed Baptist.
Would have given them a remarkable balance of Eastern Catholicity.
Skin melting off sounds interesting. Keep your super... Yeah, I want to see it. I want to see Cleve's skin melt off.
Western inheritance and reformational clarity. A balance that I believe is probably best preserved in the Anglican tradition, at least according to its formularies, its formal doctrines. But we'll talk more.
So why aren't you Anglican then? Why aren't you an Anglican? You're a Reformed Baptist. This is like the meme where they say like Protestantism is false, Roman Catholicism is false, Orthodoxy is true, I'm Anglican.
More about that in the next episode. So the Reformation and the Reformers, they understood themselves not
fire skin. Out, out, out. Fireball, fire head to toe. Tear him, angels, tear him.
As abandoning Catholic Christianity, but as recovering it. So in that sense, they can properly be described as Reformed Catholics. So Christians seeking continuity with the ancient Catholic Church, little c, Catholic Church, while rejecting what they believed were later Roman corruptions. And this essentially is important because the Reformers sometimes stood closer to the East than people realized. Particularly,
the Reformation wasn't a divide. It was just a time when more people could hear about how right I am. So true, dude. So true. When Joseph Smith found those tablets, he wasn't starting his own church. He was just bringing them back to what really happened. And the Native Americans really were ancient Jews. This is what it is. The Native Americans really were the ancient Jews. And there were civilizations all throughout America. Don't you know this? And I guess Satan was really Jesus's brother, according to Mormonism. Can you make the same argument? He's basically making the same arguments a Mormon restorationist would make.
In rejecting, the universal papal jurisdiction, they, along with the East, they rejected purgatory or the treasury of merit or the codification of transubstantiation. And
do you doubt transubstantiation? I'd have a chat with you about that.
And they also,
so you say the Reformation is a return to early church teaching, yet you doubt the real presence in the Eucharist. You take that as an issue why you can't be Roman Catholic or Orthodox because they believe in transubstantiation. That's very odd. Real presence is taught literally everywhere by everyone.
So, the East, along with the Reformers, repeatedly appealed to the church fathers and the early ecumenical church. And they did this while still disagreeing with Eastern.
Is Jay debating? When is he debating? Who's he debating?
Orthodoxy. And this is very important. So you have these Reformers who had lots of agreement on many other issues with the East, yet they still disagreed with Eastern Orthodoxy on some other very important doctrines. And this is an important point because here in the West, for Western Christians who are attracted to Eastern Orthodoxy, the Reformers recognized that agreement on those several questions, yet they did not become Orthodox. They believed that their calling was to reform the Western church from within its own inheritance, not to abandon the civilization or the culture.
Will we watch it on my show? Maybe. Alex usually streams on Wednesday. I usually raid him at 7. So I don't know. If Alex streams, maybe I'll toss you over there. Maybe he's going to react to it.
Or the ecclesiastical tradition of their forefathers.
If not, I'll just raid. I'll raid wherever that debate is.
In order to just join the East. Okay. In other words, they did not allow the weaknesses of their own tradition to become the attraction of another. And that is a serious consideration. Okay. Because Christianity does not call us to become rootless, right?
Wait a minute. Somebody sent me a bunch of stuff about the Jesus and whatnot guy. More weird prophecy stuff. Does people just do this all the time, I guess? Hold on, let's see. Okay, one of Jesus and Whatnot's viewers had a dream about Catholic Sam, which they believed. Oh, yeah, I already played that one. All right, what about this one? Oh, God, this is a mess. Here, hold on, let me share the screen. This is Catholic Sam saying, "Thank you so much. I didn't die." This is a part of their here. We'll just play it. Where's the mute button? There you go.
Message saying someone had a very vivid dream of me being unalive. I'll put up the message right here so that you can read it. Now, at first, of course, upon reading this, it's a little bit scary, but I really thought nothing of it. It's just one message, and what could this mean? Who knows? So I sent it to a couple of priests. They said the same thing. Don't worry about it. But then I sent it to someone who I go to spiritual guidance for, a very holy woman who also had catechized me. And she told me that I need to come to her place immediately. So upon going to her place, she has told me that 3 other people have told her that they've had that same exact dream about me, including herself. And of course, this could mean absolutely nothing. This could mean nothing at all. This could also be the devil trying to scare me to get me to stop posting, or on the off chance, this could be what is going to happen to me. And after Jesus and Whatnot threw up that post asking people to pray for me, I've had multiple other people as well tell me that they've had that.
I mean, is this just not insane? Is this just not insane? I've had multiple people message me as well saying they had the same dream. Like, his viewers are just gaslighting him. His viewers are literally just gaslighting him. I'm going to DM Catholic Sam right now, and I'm going to tell him I had a dream that he's going to die. Like, everybody, don't actually do this. We'll get in trouble. But like, it just like somebody's like trolling him, like, hey, everybody, go message Catholic Sam and tell him you had a dream that he's going to die. And everybody believes it. You guys got to have some discernment, dude. 25,000 people like this post.
That same vision or dream about me. And guys, if you are dreaming this stuff about me, please, I'd really appreciate it for my own peace of mind that you keep it to yourself.
Yes, stop messaging. If you really are, stop DMing me. Stop DMing me with my death dreams. Please stop DMing me with my death dreams. I don't like it. For my own mental well-being, please stop.
It's not something I need to hear any more of. And it's also, if you're joking about it, just stop. But the real reason I want
So they're believing this. It sounds to me like the initial post is just people started DMing this kid. If you're that easily deceived, that should really tell you something. If you're that easily deceived, that should really tell you something. Just people DMing this guy and saying, hey, I've had a dream about you. You're going to turn gay. That would be actually, that would be a funny troll. That's a little less cynical. Like, just go mass DM Jesus and Whatnot, and everybody at the same time, we all say, I had a dream. It's totally real. You turned gay. I don't know. It shook me. I woke up in a cold sweat. I had a dream. I had a dream of you, and you started talking with a sassy lisp. You started talking in a sassy lisp. I think it's a prophecy. The prophecy. It started off. You had a very deep, manly voice, and then you started talking in a sassy lisp. And everybody just mass DMs. Noah, he just goes insane.
to make this video is to thank you guys so much for the support. I genuinely cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much to my best friend Jesus and Whatnot for even doing that and asking people to pray for me. All of you guys who prayed for me, I cannot even explain to you that I could literally feel your prayers. It was something like I've never felt before, and I don't even know how to express.
He started literally levitating after everyone was praying for him.
My thankfulness. Just thank you so much. I want you guys to know that I pray for you as well, and the fact that you guys are praying for me means the absolute world.
See, you probably have good discernment, Austin. You probably yeah, maybe that's not the best thing to say to a dude. Hey, I had a dream about you where you're gay. So stupid. Oh my goodness, bro.
But with that being said, I will not be stopping what I am doing. I have a mission to bring people to the Catholic faith and make sure that people don't leave the Catholic faith like I almost once did a couple years ago. And guys, remember, whatever happens to me, Christ stays Lord. Thank you for your prayers.
You can tell he genuinely was thinking about this. Like, all of these people are DMing me saying Like, I had a dream you're going to die. He's being so serious. Dude, if you're that like gullible, just don't be on the internet,
Catholic
bro.
faith and make sure that people don't.
What was it?
Well, and the fact that you guys are praying for me means the absolute world to me. But with that being said, I will not be stopping what I am doing.
Oh, okay. He just says he won't be stopping. I wanted to see if he was also going to claim he was like ordained by God to do this. Is this guy or the previous dude that we were watching? Let's go back to this guy. Is this guy saying not to become Orthodox because that would be abandoning our Western American roots? Yes, correct. Politics over the truth. That's exactly what it is. That's literally his main argument, it seems like. Almost dry money, but had to save Cleve. Also, Idea Church. Maybe I can get Mother Church and make a bunch of Hooter girls, which will flow with milk and honey, bring in 7 figures. Business Church maxing. You go to Taylor Marshall's Milk Jug Church. Good grief.
Heritage and language and liturgy and memory and the faith of.
Again, thank you so much for supporting the show. I really appreciate it.
Our forefathers, they all matter. Okay. Your Western tradition should not be abandoned simply because another appears stronger or.
Yeah. Do they not realize this should be like a good atheist argument or a good pagan argument? All my ancestors were pagans. Why should I become a Christian? All my ancestors were pagans.
Maybe more beautiful in a season of weakness or decline. Now, I understand that many people go, oh, I'm going to the East specifically because I find that they have the most truth. And that's the perspective that you might be going for. But I think that a lot of people disregard the understanding of your own heritage and holding on to that. So
that's exactly what it is. He's idolizing heritage and he's somehow tying this into Protestantism. So you're making a pagan argument then. You're making the same argument the pagans would have been making to try to prevent people from converting to Christianity. So it literally is just heritage over truth.
Sometimes faithfulness means recovering and rebuilding what has been handed down to you rather than leaving it behind. Now, had Rome not hardened many of its
Didn't you just make the argument that it wasn't a big deal for the Protestants to split off because they got super smart? Literally contradicting yourself within like 2 seconds. You just said it wasn't really a schism because they had the printing press and it's really easy to stay unified when everyone's ignorant. But it was totally cool when they left behind their heritage to become Protestant because we had the printing press and we found out what the truth was. So you're contradicting yourself.
Disputed positions at the Council of Trent. This is really the Roman Catholics' response to the Reformers' positions. Perhaps there would have remained more room for reconciliation within the Western Church, but Trent's anathemas toward.
Yeah, I like Joel Webbin. I don't really know this guy. I like Joel Webbin though. But it's fair game to push back on this bad argumentation. I'm not saying this guy is dumb, but this really is the sentiment of a lot of American Protestants. And I do feel like we are touching at a root issue. Once they see that they've made this an idol, I feel like these guys are intelligent enough that they would be able to course correct, or at least I would hope so. Unless they're praying for mystical dreams of giant milkers to keep them in their false church. I don't know.
Reformed doctrine, followed centuries later by dogmatic claims in Vatican I, and made the.
Yeah, what the heck, dude? I'm sorry. I'll try to stop having dreams of your AC breaking. They were supposed to come and fix it this morning, or they were at least supposed to come and like do the work on the coil upstairs, but in the attic. But the guy forgot to set the appointment. Can you believe that? He forgot to set the appointment. So they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm all booked up," so they can't do it until tomorrow. This whole AC unit thing is just like the biggest headache in the world. But you know what? There are worse things. I could literally like what if all the power was cut off? Like what if we ran out of oil or something and all the power is cut off and I just have to live in heat? I'd probably die. I think I'd probably just die.
Division far more difficult to overcome. Now, before I tell you my own story, I need to just make one distinction because the word Protestant has become far too broad. Okay. Baptists and Methodists and Pentecostals and modern non-denominational evangelicals are often lumped together with the churches of the
Yes, we know none of you guys agree with each other.
Magisterial Reformation. They're called Protestants, but historically and doctrinally, they are not the same thing. And I believe it's an unfair association. Okay. So Lutheran, Anglican, and Presbyterian churches retained the ecumenical creeds, confessions, sacramental theology, the historic liturgy. I'm talking the liturgies that you would see back in the first few hundred years of the church, the old hymns, the Gregorian chants in some places, a strong claim to the continuity with the ancient Catholic Church. The magisterial reformers.
Presbyterians have a strong claim to the ancient Catholic Church? No, they don't. Neither do any of those groups that you just laid out. Anglicans, out of all the Protestants, would maybe be the closest. But if you know anything about Anglican history and anything about how they operated, it's always been the via media. It's like we're not quite Protestant. We're not quite Roman Catholic. It's always been the via media, and they allow for a flexibility in doctrine. The 39 articles might as well be the 39 suggestions.
Would have
This is why you have Anglicans who are annihilationists. You have Anglicans who believe in intercession of the saints and some that don't. You have some that will venerate icons in opposition to the articles. You have some that don't even believe in sola scriptura. They believe that the ecumenical councils can be infallible. You have people like Sean Luke who are literally arguing that he can have access to infallible knowledge in his own head. They kind of believe whatever they want. So none of those groups are close to the early church. And I could prove that just by looking at the ecumenical councils and all of the things that are presupposed, even at the time of Nicaea. You look at Nicaea 1, and there are canons that talk about things like penances. There are canons that talk about the final diaticum, which is a final communion. There are canons that talk about, there's the anathemas. There's the one holy Catholic Apostolic Church. I believe in one visible church institution, not a bunch of different branches. So these are all things that are presupposed even into the first ecumenical council. Not to say that these are things that are invented there, but these are things that existed long before then. They had to exist as concepts. Bishops, tripartite office, bishop, presbyter, deacon. So you've got the three offices there, even at the time of Nicaea. So no, a Presbyterian doesn't cut the bill. Who else did he say? A Lutheran? A Lutheran doesn't cut the bill. Anglican would maybe get somewhat close, but they would still miss out on the one holy Catholic aspect. And also, they wouldn't necessarily hold to the anathemas in practice.
Radically disagreed with many later developments in these restorationist movements, like the Baptists or the Pentecostals, et cetera, et cetera. And they certainly did not envision their traditions.
From our perspective, what unites all prots are the heresies they hold, not their doctrine. Correct. What unites the Protestants is that they don't want to be Roman Catholic or Orthodox. That's the real unifying force, honestly. Otherwise, they'd all be fighting each other.
In the Reformation.
And they do, and they still do.
And leading to an endless collection of independent churches and denominations. So when I use the word Protestant, I am principally talking about what I would call classical confessional Protestantism.
So is this guy a Presbyterian then? I thought he was a Reformed Baptist. I might have been wrong about that. I think he might be a Presbyterian.
The Reformation churches that believe they were reforming the historic Catholic Church, not starting new Christian traditions. And that distinction matters because the Protestant chaos that I came from was mostly the later evangelical restorationist world. I began, like many people in the Southwest, at Calvary Chapel and then the broader megachurch Christianity. And from there, I moved into John MacArthur style Calvinism, and then briefly into Reformed Baptist while I was studying the Presbyterianism and Anglicanism. And I always loved the Puritans. Even the Catholics loved the Puritans. I have a story that Thomas Watson was one of the great.
So what did you end up becoming Presbyterian?
Or I still wear a clerical collar when I'm preaching. I appreciated Christian art. I didn't have this strict Second Commandment violation on images.
He wears a clerical collar when he's preaching, so he's a LARPer.
We believed in the mystical bodily presence in the Lord's Supper. And we even included, the 39 Articles, which is the Anglican Confession, and the Book of Common Prayer.
Is this guy, he can't be a Presbyterian then. He's probably just a non-denom. So he's saying he wears a clerical collar. What's this guy's name? Is this Dale Partridge? Is that this guy? I want to know what church he pastors over. Not the specific one, but what denomination. Is this Dale Partridge? That is Dale Partridge. What is he? What denomination is Dale Partridge? Dale Partridge. This was the same guy that was like saying his marriage was not ideal or something. The King's Way Reformed Church, Prescott. What is this? King's Way Reformed Church. What is that? Is that an independent? Is this guy a non-denom? What is this? So he's defending Protestantism, and I don't think he's an actual Protestant. What kind of church is this? What we believe. What are you? Confessional. Your Anglican 39 articles. Yeah, I think he's just a non-denom. This guy's a non-denominational pastor. They're not affiliated with any denomination, I don't think. Yeah, exactly. It's Idea Church. He's a hodgepodge of vaguely Christian ideas. Yeah, this guy is just a non-denominational pastor that's trying to cobble together random crap that he finds cool. That's literally it. Yeah, I like this from history. I don't really want to look at their leadership page, but I was just trying to see if they had any denominational affiliation. How odd, how strange. You know what else is interesting? Corey Mahler's church is like that too. The Boniface group, guys. Boniface group. Somebody reached out to me about that. Let me see if I can find that real quick. The Boniface group. I don't even need to pull this up. I'll just tell you. I'll tell you what I saw. The Boniface group, which I'm assuming is the church that Corey Mahler is a part of, they're not affiliated with any greater denomination either. They LARP as Lutheran. But it was I believe, an organization that was set up after Corey Mahler was excommunicated from the LCMS. So what they ended up doing was that Lutheran guy was basically like made himself a pastor. He made himself a Lutheran pastor, and he pastors over a church inside his house. The Lutheran guy that Jay debated, where Corey Mahler popped up on the screen, he literally pastors over a church that is inside his house. He's not even a real Lutheran. He's just a LARPer. Where is the Boniface group website? Yeah, here you go. Boniface group, Old Lutheran Mission Society. Let's see. Where's the actual church page? Holy Trinity something. All right, so this is the Boniface group church here. Oh, I wasn't even sharing the screen. Oops. Hold on. Let me share the screen. You guys are just staring at my mug. So this is the Boniface group. This is the guys that he debated or whatever. This is their church. Holy Trinity Evangelical Lutheran Church. Where are you located? We're southwest of Emmett, northwest of Middleton. Since we currently meet on a residential property, we're not listing our address publicly at this time. So it's in a guy's house. So they're playing pretend church, Corey Mahler and this Lutheran pastor. They're literally just playing pretend church with a fake pastor that appointed himself and is hosting church inside the guy's house. They don't even have a church building. It's just ideas church. These people are not serious. It's fake. They're playing dolls. This is what they're doing. They're playing dollies. It's not a real church. It's Dolly's church. It's LARP pretend church. The same thing with, I mean, no disrespect to this guy here, but you got to realize at some point when you're a non-denominational pastor that is LARPing with the Anglican 39 articles and you're wearing a clerical collar and you're trying to ape different hodgepodge views from history that you think are based in cool, but you're not a part of any greater denomination, that's not a real church, dude. You're just making it up as you go. You're playing pretend. And I say this as somebody who did this himself. I did this. I was a non-denominational pastor, and I said, I'm just going to be a non-denom, and I'll believe in the real presence, and I'll believe in baptismal regeneration. I will be the magic unicorn that figures it all out, and I'm going to piece together the true faith myself, because the faith is literally just in my brain. This is the same thing you're doing. So I can relate to what you're trying to do. You've had your presuppositions challenged or something, and you say, look, the way we're doing church is not historical. It's not biblical. We don't believe in the real presence and all this stuff. So I'm going to change that. Well, the problem with that is when you actually start to do the research, you'll notice that a lot of the early church disagreements are about who has and doesn't have valid sacraments. And it's discussing the sacraments are only valid within the church. And these people that are outside of the church, universally, they're saying they don't have the Eucharist. Now, you'll have some disagreements on baptism, like Augustine, St. Cyprian, they would disagree on this. But about the Eucharist, this is a common through line. So how are you going to have the Eucharist when you're not a part of Christ's theanthropic body and you do not have the keys to bind and loose? Go read the early church on what the keys do. You don't have valid sacraments without the keys. This is why apostolic succession is necessary. You can't shoehorn apostolic succession back into your church, dude. You cannot pretend apostolic succession somehow went back to your church. But, you know, if you're doing the whole mind church thing, you might weasel around and just say like, oh, well, you know what? We're just going to talk about doctrinal succession. And since some of the Lutheran reformers talk about doctrinal succession rather than apostolic succession, I'm just going to say that's early enough. And that'll at least soothe my conscience for the time being. But to this guy, to Dale, if you're watching this, I mean, let's have a private conversation. It doesn't even need to be on video, because I feel for where you're at, but what you're doing right now it's a LARP. That's what it is. You're in a non-denominational church, Kingsway Reformed Church, no denominational affiliation, and you are hodgepodging doctrine together. You are a non-denominational Christian that is holding to the 39 Anglican articles. This is a LARP. This is a LARP. Skinless head apologetics. What? Skin. Oh my, because my skin's going to fall off. Very true. Brian Suave and Eric Kahn out in Utah are similar. Refuge Church. It's all idea church LARPing. I saw an Instagram reel not that long ago from a group that was like, we're going to call ourselves Orthodox. We're going to have everything that looks like an Orthodox church, but we're just going to like have Protestant doctrine. We're just going to piece together our own Build-A-Bear church denomination. It's just nonsense. It's playing pretend. It's not even a real church. You're literally just playing with dolls. This stuff can't be real. Makes you question if I don't think this guy's bad faith. I realize his train of thought. It is cognitive dissonance. It's trying to hold on to, and you notice what he said earlier. The idol that he's holding on to is heritage. So what he's trying to do is he's got this idol over what the truth is. He's got this idol over Christ, ultimately, because Christ is the truth. The truth is a person. And a person is identified also with his theanthropic body. You can't separate the two. Otherwise, you have an Nestorian view. So you've got this idol over Christ, and it is heritage. It's politics. It's, well, I feel like my heritage is Protestant. So for the time being, you have this thing over what the truth is, which is your heritage. So what you're trying to do is, the truth is subservient to this thing in your view. So now you're trying to do anything you can to make this work, since the truth is subservient to heritage. So heritage is the idol that I'm worshiping. And what I'm doing is I'm changing my doctrine so it's good enough to assuage my conscience and allow me to continue to worship this demonic idol that I've created in my mind. So I don't think he's bad faith. I think he's created an idol out of heritage, which is preventing him from thinking about things coherently. And really, I think the best way to clear this up is, well, you can have conversations and things like this, but also it takes prayer. So pray for this man, Dale Partridge. But it's literally just idolatry of your heritage. I just joined this stream. I got to defend Taylor Marshal. Bro's got 8 kids. Engorged milkers are just a fact of life. It's just a fact of life in his house. Give him some credit, man. He hired the guy who threw Francis's Pachamama in the Tiber. Very based. W. Taylor Marshal. W. Taylor Marshal engorged milkers vision. No, actually, that's a massive L. Become Orthodox, Taylor Marshal. I like Taylor Marshal. I think he's a funny guy. I like what he has to say sometimes on his show. I like some of the Tradcat guys. I think they're entertaining. But ultimately, dude, you got to break out of your demonic delusion. And I'm sorry, but a vision of engorged milkers is not a good reason to remain Roman Catholic. I know you're kind of like, it's just tongue-in-cheek and enmity. I'm just talking off the cuff of my thoughts of Taylor Marshal, but Lord of mercy. I don't have anything against the guy personally, but super, super demonic vision.
In our church's constitution. So we were already kind of associated in that kind of Presbyterian Anglican world. Now, over time, our elders and members, along with, kind of a growing appreciation for my English heritage.
That's a good point. That's a good point. The dude doesn't believe in interracial marriages, but is married to a Mexican woman. He doesn't practice what he preaches. Yeah, well, that's a good point. He doesn't practice what he preaches. It's mind church. It's all ideas, but they don't necessarily manifest themselves in practice. Because if he really believed what he was saying, I need to get back to what the early church is, he would just become Orthodox. Or if he was deluded, he'd become a Roman Catholic. Because at least for some of these, for guys like this that are making heritage an idol, the easier and a false demonic trap for them would be to enter into the Roman Catholic Church, because what the Roman Catholics are trying to do in the American context is they're trying to be the new WASPs. So at least this would look like his heritage to him. Because he's thinking of everything through a racial lens, this gentleman here. But yeah, he was the same guy that said his marriage is not ideal because he married a Mexican woman. So the heritage is is an idol that he's propped up.
Partridge, right? We more embraced the Anglican tradition while still valuing.
Hey, me too. I married a Cuban woman. That's right. I like Latinas. Me gusta chicharrones. Hey.
The Presbyterian documents, like we still keep the Westminster Short Catechism as one of the approved documents at our church. Now, what finally convinced me to kind of pick a side with this
cleave to Latinas, hey,
Reformed Anglicanism, it allowed me to not have to choose between Catholicity and the Reformation, deep liturgy and Scripture, or the ancient church and Protestant clarity. I could hold those things together in one tradition, and so we made the Anglican formularies really our core foundation, though in practice.
Hola, señor. Me gusta Latinas. Ay. Me gusta Latina mujer. So.
The change was not that dramatic because for a long time we've already been functionally there. Now, you guys might have, I might have even said it on an episode before. We've often called ourselves Anglitarians. And if you know our world,
we call ourselves Anglitarians,
Reformed world, you know that there's really not a big difference between, say, like J.C. Ryle Anglicanism.
Yeah, they're all LARPers. They're all restorationists. They're all, yes, dude, it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. Bro, check your X DMs. This guy's a grifter. All right, let me see. I'm kind of like the grifter accusations. So strange. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, he's got a manhood seminar program. He does a 1-year program for men. Well, I don't know if that makes him a grifter. Talks about biblical masculinity, how to be a freaking alpha male, how to be a based alpha male. I don't know if that makes you a grifter. I mean, I wouldn't call Dr. David Patrick Harry a grifter because he's got a school account where you pay $30 a month to go do like whatever he does. Because he does the same thing. I wouldn't call him a grifter. I think he's on his come up, dude. He's on his come up, bro. He's got to grab the bag, dude. You got to learn how to. He's got the classes learning how to be a man, how to attract those Latinas, you know what I'm saying? Look, interracial, never ask a Wignat LARPer the race of their wife. never ask a Wignat LARPer what the race of his wife is. Every Wignat LARPer's got to have his Latina baddie, okay? It's just the way it is. I don't make the rules. Every Wignat LARPer he's got to have his Latina baddie, dude. It's a requirement. It is a requirement, dude. This is the way it has to be. I do not make the rules. It's just true. Good grief. Careful, Cleve. If you start talking about Latina's voice of reason, might. Oh, man. That's what got him in trouble. You got to stay away. Stay away from the Latinas. It's too late for me. I have a Cuban wife. I literally have the number one wife. So funny. Stay away from the Latinas. Voice of reason. Voice of reason. The Council of Ephesus didn't say I can't like plump booties. So funny. Hey, fool, you coming around talking about Latina women? You a Latinizer now, is yeah. That's a real Latinizer ideology. Talk about them Latinas. Talking about I need me some Latinas. Oh yeah. I'm gonna do theology about how interracial marriage is bad. But when I see a Latina that's bad, ooh, it's over. I gotta get me a slice.
R.C. Sproul, Presbyterianism. And so we kind of sat in that space for.
I gotta give me some tres leche. Oh, I had a vision, man. They were so engorged. It was like a tres leches. It was like tres. It was like tres leches.
Sometime. Now, but the term I actually prefer.
It was literally like horchata, man. Oh.
Is Reformed Catholic. I like that term, and it captures what I believe I had been moving toward for years. Not away from the Reformation, but back through it toward the historic Catholic faith of the West, where you have this Reformed church according to Scripture, according to early church history. So yeah, I'm still a Calvinist. I'm still postmillennial. I'm still covenantal. I'm still I have patriarchal positions. In many ways, I feel like I just kind of spent many years slowly working backward out of the modern evangelical fragmentation until I arrived at the place where the debates are actually worth having, okay? The serious conversation, in my view, is not between Roman Catholicism or Eastern Orthodoxy and megachurch evangelicalism. Okay, now that conversation is not a serious conversation. It is between the Roman Catholic Church and the Reformed Catholic Church. Okay, that's where those conversations are really.
You're a non-denominational pastor, dude. This guy's he's saying that the conversation isn't with people like me. It's like these people in this made-up church that I've invented in my mind that is what I think the Anglican Church is. Okay, well, let's have this conversation. Let's look at the Anglicans. Let's look at the Episcopal Church in America with all their this is the serious contenders here. You got your women bishops and priests. You got gay marriage. You got this Skittle stuff going on. Oh, no. Let's look at the Lutherans. Let's look at the Lutherans. Well, they got the Sparkle Creed. They got all the gay stuff going on there too. No. We're talking about the more conservative Lutherans, the LCMS. Oh, you mean the ones with the ordained Jewish rabbis on their clergy roster, or the furry pastors that serve for them? Oh, no. See, we're talking about Presbyterians. Oh, like the PCUSA that has an administrative head that is literally a Troon supporter, lesbian. We talk about them. These are the serious conversations that we need to have. No. Actually, we're not talking about the actual magisterial reformers. We're talking about the schismatic conservative sects that broke away from them. Oh, so it's all relative now. It's all relative. Because where's the line of delineation? You're saying, no. We can't talk about megachurch evangelicalism because they're too far removed. They've split off too many times. Okay, but what about, like, you're idolizing this conservative version when all the mainline versions of these churches, the originals, they're all super gay and subverted. This is your own imagination, church. This is your imagination. This is head church stuff. This is delusional.
Meaningful. They can be respectful. There's great conversations to be had. There is deeper doctrine. There's a lot closer liturgical practices there. And so the real question for this episode is this: if I wanted historic or sacramental, creedal, Catholic Christianity, why am I not a Roman Catholic? And why am I not Eastern Orthodox? And this is where I want to go next. Okay, so I want to move from kind of some more abstract arguments to some very direct theological reasons. So first, I'm patriarchal. Okay, I am a Christian nationalist, and I believe there is something deeply Christian about honoring our fathers and receiving our inheritance with gratitude. Okay, Scripture repeatedly commands us to remember those who came before us. You can see this in Deuteronomy.
The best way to remember those who came before us, Ese, is to marry a very sexy Latina. This is the best way. We have to think about American heritage. You cannot become Orthodox. It's too foreign. But when it comes to Latinas, I make a little exception.
32:7. And also the fifth commandment, right, tells us to honor.
For those of you that are joining, he says that because he believes interracial marriage is wrong, but he's married to a Latina. Many such cases. Every Wignat LARPer needs his Latina wife.
Our father and mother. Now, America was historically formed within the Protestant tradition. And I believe our national and ecclesiastical inheritance is not something to...
the real answer to that, you're absolutely correct, the Doku guy. The real answer to this conundrum is to show him, well, if you really want to make this argument that you go back to your heritage, well, then you're going to need to go back to the church of the first millennium, which is the Orthodox Church. And we could show that, hey, this is actually the same church that your ancestors were a part of, whether you're Western, whether you're Eastern. This is the same church. So this is the church of your ancestors. This is the church of your forefathers. This isn't the modern, like if you were to go Rome, it's not the modern Roman Catholic schismatic sect. No, Orthodoxy is the same church that Christ established. This is the ultimate going back to your heritage. So, for the poison leche, that's right. The poison. She was laying there. I'm telling you, man, she was laying there. I had a vision. She was laying there. She was looking very sick, man, but she had giant engorged milkers, bro. I'm telling you, but they were poison.
Just get rid of, but to reform, to strengthen, to hand down. In fact, George Washington, our national patriarch,
they were just full of horchata. I'm telling you, man.
Here in America was Anglican. And there's something good about that.
All right, enough. I'm sorry. Enough. Enough of Taylor Marshall's insane vision.
Second, America, like Europe, belongs historically to Western civilization. And that also matters to me. And as I said earlier, I believe our responsibility is ordinarily to recover and reform our own inheritance rather than to abandon it for another civilization's ecclesiastical tradition. I think when people hate their own tradition so much, there's so much chaos or fragmentation.
Thanks for reading my free comments. Of course, dude. Of course. Thank you for watching the show.
It's easy to adopt something foreign in hopes that it will be better. It's kind of a grass is greener paradox.
Before anyone says Cleve lied about his skin melting off, if the goal wasn't met, just remember he never said when it would. That's right. I never said when my skin will melt off. But since we have not reached the super chat goal, you have literally condemned me to death. You have condemned me to a slow, torturous death of my skin melting off of my bones, because I don't know if you know, and I would never lie about this, by the way. I would never lie about this, by the way. But I received several DMs. People said, Cleve, we had a dream. We had a dream about you, and it was so specific. There were golden letters flying in front of our face, and it was all in Latin. We had to translate them after the fact. And there were tornadoes, and there were pigs flying in the air. And there were big tortas flying in the air all around us. And I couldn't see because the torta was right in front of me. So I had to shuffle around. But as the torta moved from my view, I saw my Latina queen, and she told me, if you do not super chat Cleve and reach the super chat goal, his skin's going to melt off. And you can trust me. Take this with a grain of salt, though. Take this with a grain of salt, though. You can trust me that that's going to happen. So that's really what happened. That's the truth. And I would never lie about that. I would never lie about that. Have you seen the Joel Webbon debate with Ruslan and God Logic on interracial marriage? It was chopped. W Latinaizer. I did see that. Well, God Logic was there, and I actually thought God Logic did pretty good at the rhetoric in that debate. He was like a good hype man. I'm not a huge God Logic fan, but I think he did good. And back when that debate actually took place, me and Ruslan were still friends, and I texted him and I told him I thought he did pretty good in that one. I thought he did pretty good. Never ask a Nord about his yeah, exactly. Never ask a Nord about his Khajiit wife. Good grief. Yeah, I thought he did good rhetorically, rather. I don't necessarily know about substance-wise, but I think from an optics perspective, he did about as good as you can do in a debate on a topic that, like, goofy. You know what I mean?
So Eastern Orthodoxy is ancient and Christian, but it developed primarily within the Greek, Slavic, Byzantine, and Eastern cultures. Its iconographic spirituality, the Byzantine liturgy, the ecclesiastical customs, the devotional practices, and the cultural instincts, they do feel genuinely foreign to the historic religious life of the West. Not
in the first millennium, dude. Not in the first millennium. It's going to look exactly like the Orthodox Church. You just got to go back far enough. The problem is their romanticized version of Christianity is a second millennium. And not only that, it's like around the time of the Reformation Christianity. It's a late medieval, not super early on. You got to go back. You got to go back far enough, and then you get to Orthodoxy. Fear not, I translated the Latin into the King James English and corrected the Latin. Oh, that's right, because the King James Bible corrects the Greek. That's right. The King James, I could read this here King James Bible, and it'll correct the Greek. That's right. Amen. Amen. Hallelujah. Your face won't melt, but your hairline will continue to recede. Oh, there you go. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, so the Latin from the vision, he translated into King James English, and he corrected the Latin. So it's not my face that's going to melt. I'm just going to go bald. That's like when the Pentecostal leaders at the very beginning of the charismatic movement, He said, I'm going to send you out and you're going to know basically how to speak another language. And I'm going to send you out to do a mission, an evangelistic mission. You're going to know automatically how to speak another language. And then when it didn't work, they came back and he said, no, actually, I got it wrong. What I actually meant was you're going to be able to speak the languages of angels, which is just gibberish. So you just keep moving the goalposts. This is how real false prophets do it. That's how real false prophets do it. We just keep moving the bar back. Look, I got the prophecy wrong, dude. I'm like Ellen G. White. I got the prophecy wrong, dude. We're talking about Jesus was supposed to come back at this point. No, actually, I got it wrong. Push it back a little bit. That's right.
I had a friend who converted to Orthodoxy, and even he joked that within kind of his Western framework, he said at first it felt like Buddhism with Jesus. And I think there's like some truth to that impression from a Western perspective. The spirituality, the aesthetics, the developmental.
We look like Buddhists. Our aesthetics look like Buddhism. You should go and look at what a early church looks like. Our aesthetics look like Buddhism. The early church literally just looks like an Orthodox church. Is the early church Buddhist? This is a very bad argument.
You know, the habits, the devotions, the theological instincts can feel profoundly foreign. Orthodoxy remains a very small minority in the United States.
Oh, I got it wrong. I just got to say God told me he changed his mind. Oh, no. Actually, what it was, this is a good excuse for a false prophet. You say, actually, the reason for Catholic Sam, he should just say this. The reason I didn't die from all this false prophecy is because, no, it was actually real prophecy, but you prayed so much, it averted it. You averted this thing. That's really what it was.
States.
It worked. See, I'm a real prophet now. See, I can actually see the future. It worked. I didn't die. See, no matter what, I'm right, because if I just ask you to pray over this prophecy and it doesn't happen, this means your prayers worked. But I could still post for engagement and you'll think I literally have psionic powers. That's a top tier grift. Won't work out so good in the end, though.
I think it's less than 1%. And if we are going to think patriarchally rather than individualistically, conversion is never merely like an isolated decision. Okay, so in choosing Eastern Orthodoxy, while remaining culturally and geographically in the West, you are essentially placing your children and descendants within Eastern ecclesiastical traditions formed in a very different civilizational setting, which again, I think
it's just politics idolatry, race idolatry, heritage idolatry, rather. I mean, I get that. I think that is honestly his issue. He's just made an idol out of heritage.
Can create long-term tension.
And it's not even the right heritage. It's just heritage within like one generation. So he makes the same argument pagans make. I can't convert to Christianity because my grandpa was pagan and he was a really cool guy.
Between faith, heritage, culture, and even nationalism. And so if you were in the East, it would be a different discussion to have. But in the West, having Americans convert to Eastern Orthodoxy, I do think those elements are something to consider at the very least. Now, third.
Yeah, why this is the same exact argument that neo-pagans make today. You're worshiping a Jew and you're white. Why are you doing this? That's what they say. That's what the guys like that Adam Green dude on X says. That's their whole thing. Like all the white nationalist dudes, the pagans that are pagans, they're like, you're worshiping. I could never be a Christian because you're worshiping a Jew. I'm white. Why would I do that? That's what they say. It's just stupid.
I have serious reservations about Rome's tendency toward
Varg says this too.
Globalism. Okay, Roman Catholic teaching
yes, Roman Catholics are globalists. You're absolutely correct.
Certainly recognizes the legitimate authority of sovereign nations, including their right to regulate their own borders. But Rome is simultaneously possessing kind of a profound globalist ecclesiology kind of a one worldwide church under one universal pontiff, coupled with kind of a
So he says the right words, but then he articulates it in the dumbest way possible. It's their ecclesiology that's globalist because they have a figurehead at the top. That's not what makes them globalists. You're just describing the papacy, which is wrong. It's like this guy heard a bunch of talking points, but never like looked into them. It's very strange. My trad cat brother gives me the same argument. Oh, that he can't become Orthodox because it's not white enough for him. That's, yeah, I mean, I get that a lot, actually. People will say I became Roman Catholic because it was like more my culture. It's cultural idolatry. Rather than you're putting the culture over truth. Yeah, it's silly.
strong modern emphasis on migration and international solidarity, multiculturalism, and kind of this reception and integration of migrants. And it's why you see so many Catholic NGOs.
Okay, now he's actually getting into the meat. Yes, they do support migration and all this stuff. Okay, now he's getting into the globalism bit. He worded the first part weird.
And charities behind the mass immigration problem in the West. And this isn't just theoretical, right? So Pope Leo was repeatedly emphasizing this idea, the welcoming and integrating of migrants to the West. In fact, on 4th of July of 2026, just this year.
Yes. Leo is a globalist. Yes, Leo is literally a slave of NATO. Yes, this is correct. Yes, Leo will usher in the destruction of the West. I can agree with this guy on this. I just did an entire stream talking about this. If you support Roman Catholicism, you're ultimately supporting the destruction of your heritage, because what the Roman Catholic Church wants is to replace you all with Muslims in your own countries. It's true.
He traveled to
literally the USCCB, the United States Council of Catholic Bishops, makes 81% of its revenue from refugee programs. Did you know this? The United States Council of Catholic Bishops makes 81.9% of its revenue bringing refugees into America. This is how they make most of their money. You think they're going to change anytime soon? You become a Roman Catholic, you are just supporting the complete destruction and replacement of your people in the United States.
To what is called the Gate of Europe. And he said, quote, welcome, protect, promote, and integrate, end quote. And he said this referring to migrants and refugees. So
did the J debate start yet? Because I'll send y'all over there. I don't want to steal his viewership. I want to support my boy. I'm going to support my boy Jay. That's right. We got to support the Emperor of Byzantium. We got to do it. We just got to do it. This guy has a dirty noose. He needs to clean it. Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. Yeah. Let me know. Let me know when he starts and I'll raid wherever it's at.
Earlier this summer, during his visit to Spain, he called for legal pathways and protections and
yeah. Well, you know what else they did in Spain? They literally naturalized 500,000 Muslim migrants as citizens. And then when the Moroccan Muslims ran over the border, the Roman Catholic Church scrambled to give them housing and food, because they make almost all of their money by replacing you in your own country.
Reception and integration of migrants, describing migrants and migration as a possible source of mutual enrichment between peoples. And he did this all while migrants are literally raping and destroying Europeans. And so as a nationalist, that just creates a real problem for me. So again, these aren't my strongest objections to Rome or the East, but they explain something about the ground on which I stand as some general principles. I'm Western.
What channel was he debating on again? I'll go ahead and I'll set up the redirect.
Protestant in the classical sense, attached to the inheritance of my American and English forefathers, and convinced that our present task is not to flee that inheritance because it has decayed and has corruption, but to reform it, to recover it, and to build it again. Now, theologically, I have 6 major issues. And
so you say you can't flee that heritage, yet you're a non-denominational pastor. You already did. You just said you went from, what did he say you went from? You went from something to Reformed. Oh, you went from charismatic to Reformed Baptist to exploring Presbyterianism and Anglicanism. And then he became a non-denom Reformed pastor that LARPs as Anglican by wearing a clerical collar and by holding to the 39 articles as his confession of faith. You already did abandon that. If you say your heritage is magisterial Protestantism, you're not a magisterial Protestant. You're a non-denom evangelical. You already did that. No Fugazi podcast. Let me see. All right. Set the redirect. But yeah, I mean, all of this guy's arguments are just they're very fifis based. Hold on. All right, there you go. Yeah, I'll rage y'all over there when he's on. No, it's just nuts. I mean, it literally is just, it's a false heritage ideology that he's made into an idol. So he doesn't understand that the true heritage of all Christians is Orthodox Christianity, that even in East and West in the first millennium, it was the Orthodox Church. The faith was Orthodox, same church Christ established. So really, if you want to hold on to your Christian heritage, the thing that broke us over here is deviating from the faith. So you want to heal America, you want to make things right, you need to become Orthodox. And this is really ultimately the thing that we should hold over any political view, and something that we shouldn't allow politics to divide Orthodox Christians. Because the faith should be above all of these things. This is a unifying factor. Okay. Now, obviously, unless somebody's teaching something that's subversive or it's against the faith, like they're pushing for Christian Zionism or they're pushing for, abort or whatever. But orthodoxy's got to be above everything. The faith is above all of it. Politics is like somewhere down here, dude. Not to say that we don't have our duty, our civic duty to take care of our country and all of these things. We need to do that. We need to be very active. But our main goal should be, as Orthodox Christians, to make America holy, especially if you're American. Whatever country you're in, holy. We need to make the world holy, make the world Orthodox. That's where my focus is.
I'm going to try to touch on them briefly today. But if you want to go deeper, I wrote a book called Reformed versus Rome, which focuses more on Rome than Orthodoxy, but it explores each of these issues and more in greater detail. And it's available in audio if you want to listen to the audiobook in the Relearn app. And it's also in print at Amazon. You can pick up a copy there. And it has already, from what I've heard, it's already helped many people just make distinctions and discernment on which positions they may want to take. Spot, at least in Mark 7:13, he says, you nullify the word of God by your tradition.
Oh, complete slop. You nullify the word of God by your tradition. Well, good grief, dude. What are we going to say next? Call no man father. This is our new argument. Oh, you call priest father. The Bible says call no man father.
And scripture itself testifies to the supremacy of scripture, right? The Bible,
yeah, boo this man for the slop argument,
is woven together by thousands of internal cross-references. Prophets interpreting the law, Christ interpreting the prophets, apostles interpreting both, later revelation clarifying earlier revelation. In fact, there are over 300 direct quotations of the Old Testament in the New Testament. There's over 1,000 allusions and echoes of the Old Testament in the New Testament. So the biblical writers, what they're doing is they're appealing again and again and again.
Yeah, his whole thing was supposed to be trying to stick to the tradition. Yeah, well, he's a contradiction machine, though. Did Jay finally go live over there? Let me know, mods.
To what God had already written, not to an unwritten or written body of tradition as a parallel, infallible, or equal authority. Okay, so to read scripture as...
You want to debate on Sola Scriptura? I'll take that any day of the week. Me and you. We can have a debate. I'm not a mean guy. I'll debate Dale Partridge on Sola Scriptura.
Like come away with tradition or history having equal authority, it's really to ignore the implicit pattern that we see in Scripture. Now, again, I'm not against church. I think that church history and tradition is an authority. I think it's a lesser authority. I think human reason, is also an authority, but it's a lesser authority. And so here's why I find the argument against sola scriptura or prima scriptura. People say this all the time, but all the Protestants interpret the Bible differently. Now, sure, but all the Catholics and Orthodox interpret history differently. And history is far messier than Scripture, right? History comes to us through incomplete.
Yeah, but the church, that's such a dumb argument. The church has a divinely appointed charism. Do you know this? Have you read the scriptures? Do you know what the Bible says the church is? The ground and pillar of truth. The church is a ground and pillar of truth. So yes, there has to be, is truth objective or subjective? The church upholds the truth. So yes, that includes things like interpretation. That includes things like, anyway, you get the point. That includes things like interpretation. So yes, we're not talking about, there's no divinely provided charism for the church to be perfect historians. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's a complete slop argument. I feel like if you're going to do videos, you should at least know the pop level rebuttals to your position, because then you wouldn't make very basic, simple mistakes like this.
Records, competing historians, destroyed manuscripts, political interests, disputed councils, and really, often cases, contradictory witnesses. So God promises in his word to preserve his word and to preserve his church. And he never promises to preserve a perfect transcript of church history. So tradition does matter. Again, I read the fathers, I honor the councils, we confess the...
So you did get the point. He promises to preserve his church. He promises that the church is the ground and pillar of truth. He doesn't prompt, you just refuted your own argument. How do you not realize this? This guy just refuted his own argument. How does he not realize this?
Reads, but something that has to sit at the highest chair. Now, for me, that chair belongs to the Word of God. Now, yes, I reject private, self-authorizing interpretation of Scripture. I'm not part of the Me, My Bible, and I camp. I align more with the East in that we ought to have a conciliar and creedal source of an interpretation.
Yeah, the conciliar and creedal source of your interpretation is like Elder Timmy that you grabbed from the congregation because he seemed kind of smart. Elder Timmy and Elder Ralph. Elder Timmy and Elder Ralph both agree with you that race mixing is bad. we have a conciliar ecclesiology as well, because I've got Elder Timmy and Elder Ralph that said race mixing's bad unless it's with Latinas. Then it's okay.
And that is precisely why.
And they both agree, because they both got Latina wives.
I believe the confessionalism of classical Protestantism is so important. Okay, the church should publicly state how it understands the core doctrines of Scripture. It needs to be scrutinized and defended. And when hundreds of years pass and those confessions are still standing, that's assuring, right? We should also hold our ministers accountable to those confessions. For us, that means the ecumenical creeds, the 39 articles of religion.
You don't actually hold to them. You just said everybody should be ecumenist. You don't hold to the anathemas. You do not believe in one visible church institution. You do not actually hold to the ecumenical councils. It's, again, a LARP. It's an idea. You're picking and choosing what you like from these things.
Book of Common Prayer, together with the ordinal and the homilies, right? Those
literally in Nicaea 1, it talks about deacons, presbyters, bishops as three offices. Do you have bishops in your church? You say you hold to the ecumenical councils. Do you actually have bishops in your church? That's literally in Nicaea 1. You say you hold to the ecumenical councils. Is that true? Oh, no. It's the bits and pieces that you like from the ecumenical councils. This is what you actually hold to.
Are the standards that give Anglicanism its shape. Now, unfortunately, many churches have gone either beyond those formularies or below, while still keeping the Anglican name or the Reformed name. And
Jay's going to be like 30 minutes late. True.
I've been frustrated with that. And I've actually kind of thought of it like calling yourself an American or calling, let's just use this as an example. Like when people go to America and they call it a democracy, when according to our documents, like more precisely, we're not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. Or, you know, people that call themselves constitutional conservatives while ignoring the Constitution. If you call yourself a Lutheran or an Anglican or a Presbyterian, that name should actually bind you to the confessional standards of that.
Yeah, but what if you're Corey Mahler and the guy from the Boniface group? What if you're these guys and you just kind of like ordain yourself? It's just laying on hands, right? So I just got to do this. And then now I'm a pastor. And then I'm going to start my own house church because I got kicked out of the LCMS. But I'm just going to keep the name Lutheran and we'll just do it in my house. And then I'll LARP online as somebody you should trust because I'm a pastor, right? You should trust me. I'm a pastor. That means I have credentials. It means I ordained myself and I have a church inside my own house.
Tradition. Otherwise, the label begins to lose its meaning. And I think that's some of the problem in the Protestant traditions. But I don't think it's as much of a problem as we see in these classical Protestant.
You mean like what do they believe? Well, he's a non-denom pastor, this guy, from what I pick up. What is this guy's church? We could probably literally just go see what it looks like. This guy's talking a big game about like his church is like super historic and stuff. We're rooted in tradition. We're like a hodgepodge of like Anglican and Presbyterian. What does this church actually look like? Wait, Kingsway Church. I do want to see. That's this guy's church, right? Is this it? Kingsway's Church, Dale Partridge. Kingsway Reformed Church. All right, let's see what the church actually looks like. I want to see if they have any. No, it's just super zoomed in sermon photos. Okay, here's this church.
Hey there.
This is this guy's church. Hey there, it's me.
My name's Dale Partridge.
Yes, very trad church.
And I'm the senior pastor here at Kingsway Church in Prescott, Arizona. My intention is not to persuade you to come to Kingsway. I really do want you where the Lord wants you. My intention is to tell you quickly about 5. That was a great sermon, but rather, Pastor,
Oh, there you go. So he's got the, I know these. These are like the, does he have the packets? Is that his communion? Is his communion in little packets? Because this looks like those little juice cup holders that they would typically use.
now understand that passage of Scripture better. Number 3, we are a church of radical hospitality. You should expect to be invited into people's homes and prepare to have people integrated church. This means that to a youth pastor said we aim.
Oh, dude, they got the women. The women are veiling. Whoa.
To assist fathers and mothers in nurturing their children's faith in Christ, and that begins with families worshiping together on Sundays. And lastly,
see, when a Protestant says their church is trad, what they really mean is they like that the Orthodox will have the women veil, so they're just going to steal that aspect of it and pretend they're trad.
Following our Sunday.
Meanwhile, he's like, "Where are your robes, bro? Aren't you supposed to be super trad? Like, you're in a suit. Jesus didn't wear a suit. The apostles didn't wear a suit. The early church fathers didn't wear suits."
Gathering from 12 to 1:30, we hold.
They weren't preaching in ties.
A church-wide fellowship meal. This is a great opportunity for you to meet and connect with other families.
I wish I could see the inside of these things, because it really does look like those are just the little grape juice holders. You know what I mean? The little hourglass looking packet, and on one side is like grape juice, and on the other side is the little wafer. I guarantee that's what's in there, dude. I guarantee. Man, I didn't have fancy gold holders. It was just in a wicker basket. Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure this is literally just, because look. Communion holder gold. Yeah, this is literally the thing. So their communion is in these little juice cups. So he says he believes in real presence, but his church has juice cup, grape juice communion. So it is complete LARP church. Everything he's saying is bogus. So they got the crackers and grape juice communion at this church, but he's saying because look, that's literally it right there. You see what I'm talking about? That is the grape juice holder. I know what that looks like. I was a non-denominational pastor. So no, you don't have real presence. You're not even consecrating it. How do you consecrate something that people literally just get like passed around to them? A guy's like sitting in the pew and you're just handing out what you believe is Christ's body and blood to like people to just snack on at their pews. This is traditional. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, points 5 and 6 of his church's statement of faith is just tulip. Yeah. Oh, we're so Calvinist. This means we're trad, dude. Tulip is like the early church, don't you know? Tulip and grape juice and cracker communion is totally just like the early church. And you got to have an open Bible so they know you're all about this scriptura.
Hear someone say, oh, Pastor, that was a
complete LARP
Catholic
church.
traditions. Now, because of the age we live in, I think all Protestant confessions need stronger guardrails. When many of these documents were written, their authors could hardly imagine women's.
Hey, I have my token Rumble viewer. We are simulcasting between YouTube and Rumble. If you haven't already followed me on Rumble, go ahead and do so there, because one of these days, the feminists are going to mass report my channel, and I'm going to be off of YouTube forever. I guarantee it. I hope not. I hope that doesn't happen. I've seen it happen a bunch of times, but if you want to make sure you never lose access to Cleave to Antiquities high tier, what did Jesus and whatnot say? That Noah kid, he said, there are people that depend on my reels. They depend on my reels. I am their bulwark from apostasy. Don't you understand this? And I'm not spiritually deluded at all. Trust me, this isn't the spiritual delusion of pride. People will literally apostatize if they don't have access to the Cleave to Antiquity show on YouTube. So, if you want to make sure, you need to follow me on Rumble. Lord have mercy. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. But for real though, if you want to support the show, feel free to subscribe on Rumble as well. I do stream there too.
Ordination, or like the normalization of homosexuality under the banner of Christianity, or Protestants adopting practices like praying to saints. They just couldn't imagine the need to clarify on these things even more. And my hope is, over time, that Protestants not only herself calls God her savior, and Scripture nowhere explicitly exempts her from the universal problem of sin. I know that the systematic arguments for that I have written extensively in my book, trying to explain why I don't buy those systematic arguments. Now, Romans, the book of Romans, is devastating on this question to the.
Oh my goodness, dude. You start talking slow, bro. I'm going to speed you up.
Roman Catholics. So Paul gives us.
He says faith alone. That's what he says. We're not talking about works, dude. You stinking working pal.
The most extensive explanation of the gospel.
Romans says we need to have grape juice church. Because look, drinking wine is of the devil. So that's why we have Welch's grape juice communion. And we're going to go even further back to the early church, because don't you understand, Welch's grape juice was invented later on. So we're going to do communion with a grape and a piece of bread on a shish kebab. And I'm going to pass this around. So you'll literally just eat the grape and eat the bread. I saw that, by the way. There was actually an evangelical church that did this. I wasn't there personally, but I saw it online. They changed out their communion to a literal grape on a toothpick and a piece of bread. So dumb. Prots are a legit sola romana. Romans is 95%. Yes, exactly. We don't even need the rest of the Bible, dude. We're just going to read Romans and we're going to eisegete it into the ground.
In the Bible. It is the magnum opus of the gospel in the New Testament. It talks about sin, justification, Abraham, Adam.
You've seen it personally. A literal grape on a toothpick and a piece of bread is communion. Oh my goodness. Well, I guess it can't get any worse than like there was a church doing like a Sprite and Ritz cracker communion. Also, like all sorts of crazy stuff. They did surgery on a grape. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what they were doing in the church. Surgery church. I'm not going to surgery church. You can't make me. You can't make me. You'll never get my kidneys. You'll never get my kidneys. No matter how much they I was gonna make more Latina jokes, but it's so far past the context. I feel like people won't get it. I was gonna say they'll never lure me into the alley with a Latina temptress so they can steal my kidneys. It's never gonna happen again. It's never gonna happen again.
Election, sanctification, Israel, the church. I mean, it touches on everything. And Mary is not mentioned once. In fact, after Acts chapter 1, she essentially...
I'll give the context for those that are tuning in. This guy is against interracial marriage, but he's married to a Latina wife.
Disappears from the apostolic writings. Paul refers only to Christ being born of a woman. So if...
Cleave to reprobate is part of the unelect. Whoa, yeah. That's another one. Cleave to reprobate. Cleave to grape juice. Cleave to Welch's. Grape breadstick communion. Like, yeah, exactly. Grape and breadstick communion. Communion. I want to look this up. Communion with a grape. On a toothpick. I need to find this now. Yeah, literal, like, hold on. Communion with a grape on a toothpick. I need to find this now. Whatever. I'll find it later. I'm not going to waste time looking at it. You say you Christian, but you're gay. I love that's what they need. This guy needs apostolic child preachers. You say he's Christian, but you're gay.
Marian devotion were so essential to Christian devotion as it later became. How could Paul or any of the apostles...
Jay Dizzle debate is starting up now. So I have to do my duty. I have to do my duty as a citizen of Wigzantium and send you off to go support the Emperor of Wigzantium, Jay Dyer. So I'm going to raid the channel that he's doing the debate on. Make sure to go support him. Spam Cleave raid as soon as you get there. Yeah, literally charcuterie communion. It's literally just a grape on a toothpick with a piece of bread on it. Yep, McCullough. But I need some stuff. That's right. I've been speaking in tongues. But I need some stuff. That's right. That's right. I got healing for you in intimate places. Shabba-ba-ba-ba. Shabba-bibo. Shabba-booba. You mean to tell me you never experienced the peak communion chicken in a biscuit and Welch's grape juice? What? Chicken in a biscuit? They're eating chicken in a biscuit and Welch's grape juice communion? I got my rotisserie chicken communion. Y'all got to come down to the true apostolic. We're talking about this is real tradition. All right. This is real tradition. We're talking about fried chicken communion and watermelon juice. So silly. Good grief. Fried chicken communion and watermelon juice. On that note, I'm sending you off. Go support Jay in this debate. See you later. God bless. Until next time.